Hey Grams, can we please see your super rare awesome chocolatey fudge coated mega super card?
Bada bing, bada boom. We alive. Hello. Why is my webcam out of focus? Okay, now it's in focus. That's nice. Hello. We are live.
We good?
Shenanigans Festival Episode 2. We are good.
All right.
With Mr. KMGiggles. Carl Max Giggles himself. Carl. What's some other celebrities with the initials like KM? Isn't there like a Kevin Martin somewhere out there?
Kevin Martin is a Canadian curling champion.
Is he really?
Absolute legend.
Dude,
yep.
That was a name I just came up with at the top of my head. I was just like, I hope this is a real person.
Kate Mara.
There's another
that's
one.
all I got off the top of my head.
There's a list that I Googled like a little bit before this podcast, and I forgot all of it except for Karl Marx, because that was like the one person I didn't realize had the initials KM. I was just like, oh my god, I cannot believe it. How did I not know this? Probably because I don't really spend a lot of my time thinking about Karl Marx. And instead I think about Ron Paul's. Because there's multiple of them. There's two. It's him and his son.
Hold on, I'm tweeting.
You're tweeting? Oh my god. So, Emong's and FRAN's favorite mod. I called you Emongg and FRAN's favorite chat policeman. How does something like that happen? Were you just like in their stream, just like hanging out for a long time, and then all of a sudden they were just kind of like, "Hey, you're a cool guy," and then you just show up in chat one day, and then you have that Master Sword icon right next to your name, and it's like, "Ooh, that's cool."
So what happened? The original story of how I started modding people is I went. Emongg was always a night streamer. He was consistently like overnight, started sort of at a normal person's bedtime and went until they wake up, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up starting watching him at that time because my sleep schedule just kind of messes up sometimes, as all my friends know. Talk about it a lot. But yeah, so I was consistently in his stream, really liked him, obviously, and subbed to him for 3 or 4 months. And at night, there was a lot of unfortunate spam going on.
Unfortunate
when
spam.
there were no mods active.
Everybody's just spamming Pepe memes.
they were all yeah. The issue was all the mods, right? They have day jobs and stuff. Like they can't stay up all night overnight a stream, and I could. So I, for one thing, I made it clear that I wanted to be modded. Made it clear that I would be more than happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one night when it was getting particularly bad, Emongg just popped the mod on me, and now it's been like a year year and a bit since then.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of people through that community, and my own stream is actually, the success is partially goes to the Emongg community, because that's where I met all of my great friends.
Mm.
And as far as Fran just basically duos with Emongg a lot, or did
So
a
it
while
just kind
ago.
of like happened by like like proxy almost. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, we needed mods, and I made it clear that I would do it, and I would be happy to. And a lot of people liked the idea of me being mod. A lot of people were supportive of me in that.
Well, you kind of have that personality for like a mod or like a leadership position. It seems like.
Yeah,
I think destined to be Prime Minister of Canada. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I've developed that leadership quality through Overwatch. It's important to have that in a team, that voice that's making the clear decisions on what you're actually going to do, rather than just kind of feeling it out, and going into a fight without a plan.
Right. That's why I love Overwatch. Is just because of the teamwork aspect. Everybody has a specific role. Right. Yeah, like everybody has a specific role that they're playing. These roles synergize with each other. You have the tanks in the front line blocking damage, DPS dealing damage, healers in the back healing everybody, keeping everybody alive. And then you have like one person kind of like coordinating everybody. Like it's awesome. That's why I love Overwatch.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not always the case on ladder, but
no, it's
in an ideal world.
Right. Especially not in solo queue too. Solo queue is like like the antithesis of teamwork.
It's a mess. There's such a drastic difference. I think a lot of top players talk about this. There's such a drastic difference between high level organized play and the top of the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
It's drastic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's hardly an exaggeration to say it's bigger than the difference between bronze and GM.
Oh yeah,
like, it's insane.
Because even when you get to GM, like you're still like technically trash compared to like tier 3, tier 2 teams, and then tier 3 and tier 2 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like they're garbage compared to tier 1 teams, Overwatch League teams, and then even in Overwatch League you have the Shanghai Dragons Season 1, and then you have something like the New York Excelsior.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so interesting to me.
Yeah, there's a huge gap there. And I think it's partially because ladder players, they're not as exposed as they could be to, how the game works at that level. I think it would help if there was more detailed analysis for the Overwatch League and contenders, and obviously advertise contenders more. That's kind of the thing that everyone's been saying. But
yeah, contenders
if Blizzard promoted the idea that this game is heavily team based a lot more, I think it would improve ladder.
Mm-hmm. I think originally what they were planning on doing is not having a solo queue or like a 3-stack or anything like that at all. It was just going to be like you have 6 people, you get together, and then you just do matchmaking. I'm pretty sure that was the original plan.
It could have been, yeah. I hadn't heard about that, but maybe.
I can't remember who I was hearing it from. Was it on?
There's also been ideas for like separate queues for solo queue and group queues and stuff.
Well, that's kind of what LFG is supposed to do.
Yeah, in a way. The issue comes in with LFG in that the high level players can't actually get, there's not a lot of players. It's hard to find games. It's hard to no one uses LFG at that level, so it's just like you can't find a group, and then you can't find a game, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you finally get into a game, it turns out your team is just an uncoordinated mess anyway, despite having all the roles.
LFG ruined everything. Crap, there was a joke I was going to make about that I immediately forgot it because I was listening to what you were saying. Feels bad, man. But yeah, and then like the other thing about LFG too is just like you select a role and then you're automatically like locked into that role. So it's just like if you play support and you lock in support and you switch up your team comp to try to counter them, it's just like, oh, I could play Orisa. You can't play Orisa because you're just stuck on all the support heroes.
Yeah, I think if you're doing LFG, the ideal way to do it is run a like have basically two supports locked, and then just 4 flex slots, because beyond 2 supports, the meta is very it's very, it can go from 3 tanks to, there's 4 DPS comps even coming up in some contenders teams
Yeah, I was gonna
as
ask
a
you
goats
about
counter.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was
it's
Stormquake?
yeah, I think Stormquake ran it. Some KR teams. I think it's been actually done a lot. The issue, of course, is because that comp is so counterable that using it to counter goats is only like a short-term thing. But anyway, that's pretty complicated.
Right. And isn't it map dependent too?
Yeah,
Or no?
it's something you have to. Usually, you want to pull it out on attacking points so that it kind of guarantees a first take. But long term, your comp is easily countered. So it ends up going like, you run the 4 DPS, whatever Hammond, whatever comp on first point attack, like Route 66, like Stormquake did, and the other team's running goats. You beat them first point, that's great. Then second point, they probably just go dive, like a brig variation of dive, and start killing all of your squishies, and you're so spread that like it's so easy to isolate targets with dive. And you get rolled on the second point when they have time to adjust their comp, and then you have to adjust your comp and lose ults. So that's why it's kind of situational.
Right. Gotcha.
It requires more switches. It also requires more switches to like get back to a comp once you're countered for that comp than it does for a goats comp to switch to a dive comp. So it sets you even further back, in my opinion.
Interesting. They need to bring dive back, even though dive is technically meta, like Sombra Doomfist dive.
Dive is still good. It's map dependent, which is good. It should be map dependent, but
and also dependent on whether or not the other team runs goats. They run goats. Yeah. It's just like shit. What do we gotta do now?
They need to just figure that out. I don't know. That's a mess.
Yeah, I think it might actually change up. Shoot, wasn't there a recent patch that came out that kind of changed a lot, or?
So with the recent patch, they nerfed Briggs Shield Bash, and
yeah, that's down to 500 now.
Sorry, what's that?
I said it. Now it's down to 500.
500?
Yeah, like 5. Yeah, like 500 like blocking points or whatever. It used to be 600. Now it's 500.
Oh yeah, that, and more recently than that.
Shield points.
More recently than that, her actual bash, they nerfed the damage on it, so she can't one-shot combo tracers anymore. And she can't bash through shields anymore, so she can't like hit the bash shatter combos against Reinhardts. Or
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
In the goats v goats matchup, it was dependent on getting a discord on the other Rein, and if your Rein gets discorded, you bubble him to cleanse the discord. Like it was kind of a rock paper scissors game of Zarya's Reins, or more so Zarya's Briggs and Zens, to try and get the discord on the other Rein and burst him down before the Zarya can bubble him and get the discord off of him. But the counter goats comp, that is Zen Lucio Brigged goats, which is what was meta more recently. It relies on that combo, at least I think. Again, I'm not the fucking head strategist for any owl team or anything. So my theory is it's just gonna be peeling goats again. It's not gonna be that bursting down the Rhine goats so much anymore as like Moira or Anna goats. Because it's more so just sustaining through it.
There's some other counter goats comps I was thinking of. I think it was some footage of one of Jane's like experimental pugs, and it was like goats and then like a CC based comp. I think it was like Reinhardt, May, Brigida, something else too. Hey, Darth Sidious, thanks for the follow. You're a nice guy. I need to find out like a better way of like doing that, like reading off notifications in chat. Anyway, but yeah, it was a CC based comp, and then everybody that was playing goats, like they were playing against that, and then they just got like super tilted, super hard. And they were just like, "How the fuck do we play against this?" And he was just like, "Go spam, dude. It's fine."
Yeah. At that point, it's about, if they're running like a comp that's like kind of weird and stuff, usually the case with that is that comp has another really easy counter, and the goats team just can't find it because they're used to running goats.
Interesting.
So I think like highest level Overwatch League, if we're still in GOATS meta by then, it's gonna be if people try weird stuff like that, weird spam comps or May comps or whatever, it's just gonna be like, okay, we see this comp, go back to spawn, switch now, and roll them,
Mm-hmm.
and force them to go back to something that we can run GOATS into, and then it all trickles down back to GOATs.
Mm-hmm. Right. Always trickles down back to goats. You could thank
Yeah.
Gator and the crew for freaking ruining Overwatch. Feels bad, man. What was the thing that I just saw in chat? This is totally unrelated. Why does Giggles look like McLovin from
McLovin.
Super Plaid?
I have the haircut. I can see that.
Yeah, you do kind of have that. The physique, though, we can work on that. We'll just have to make you super anorexic. Like, you're gonna only eat carrots for the next month, and then that's it. And then the weight will just.
I do that already. What do you mean?
What do you mean you do that already? Come on. I can tell you're probably on like this. Yeah, just carrots, man. Just carrots. That's all you need. Really, for gamers, it's just like Hot Pockets and then like Rockstar or Red Bull. That's all you really need right there. Actually, no,
Everyone's on
scratch.
energy drinks, except on days when I need to like stay up all day.
There's one energy drink that I saw at a local gas station from Rockstar. It's called Rockstar Endurance Energy. It's like 300 milligrams of caffeine, and then it's like L-theanine or whatever it's called. It's like something that helps reduces anxiety, and it's kind of like a nootropic. I think it's like L-theanine or something like that. No, it's not glutamine. But yeah, it has that, and then it has creatine in it too, which is another nootropic that kind of helps with water retention in the muscles. Like, it's awesome. Like, when I need like a really strong pick-me-up in the morning, it's just like, boom, right there.
In
There
the
we
morning,
go.
oh god.
Mhm.
Energy drinks in the morning, nothing like it.
Well, yeah, that's like the one time you drink caffeine is like right in the morning. That's when I do it.
I mean, caffeine, understandable. Like, I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning, not fucking energy drinks.
Mm-hmm. Not when you. Not
That
when
goes
you get
against
a
everything
harsh.
my mom taught me.
Everything. Stay away from those energy drinks. Caffeine dehydrates you. It's gonna make you pass out. Which is what actually happened to me.
Legit, I probably had my first energy drink like this year. I don't think
Really?
I'd ever had Red Bull or anything like that until this year. I needed to stay up all day because I was up all night and I needed to reset the sleep schedule. So
Jesus, I feel
I
like.
just went and got 2 Red Bulls and stayed up.
Good God. How old are you too? Aren't you like
I'm
19?
18.
18? Aw, you just a youngin. You just a youngin, man. Are you still in school?
Yep. No, dropped out.
You dropped out.
Yep.
So what's your plan now? Just get. I don't know how it works in Canada, but like in the U.S., if you dropped out, you could either like get a GED or like join like a Job Corps or something like that.
I could do GED. It's kind of open ended at this point.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, I'm streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making decent money. Not not minimum wage, but
Mm-hmm. You're making more money on Twitch than I am. Tell you what. But I have other sources of income, so it's fine. But
yeah. And I'm gonna kind of wait until I have a potential prospect of having a PC soon. So
wasn't FRAN supposed to send you a PC or?
yeah, and there's still stuff going on with that. Like there's still
Like international shipping and crap like that.
all that, and they had to order some other stuff for it, and I don't know, because they're being secretive about it. Like they're not explicitly saying, hey, we're sending you a PC, even though Emongg basically said that to me. He heavily implied it.
Right. He's the spoiler. He totally ruins everything.
So I'm gonna
He
wait
doesn't
until that
ruin
comes
everything.
by
I could
and
have worked
then
that differently.
start setting up my streaming on that
Mm-hmm.
and my gaming. Grind Overwatch really hard all day, every day.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Your plan is to actually try to become like a full-time competitive player, right?
Yeah, definitely. I need to be top of the ladder for that and on PC. So
Do you have
once
a
I get PC, it's hard grinding.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, for sure. It's hard grinding. God, it's so different from like PC and console. Like in console, like I could do fine. Like I play at like a mid-gold, like low plat level, and then like I get on PC, and then like I'm in silver, and then like I just finished my placement matches like a week ago, and then I ended up like at 1450. I was just like, my God, I'm awful. it's a totally different world. And then part of the reason is just that, like I'm doing like other stuff too. Like I'm in 2 bands, I'm working 10 to 12 hour shifts as a med tech. I'm starting this thing now. So I mean, like I got a lot on my plate. Like I keep myself busy, and then like I go and play Overwatch. I'm not like XQC or like FRAN or any of these other people that could just like grind this game for like 8 to 10 hours a day. And like when you don't do that, you fall behind so freaking far. It's stupid. Silver is where the real pros at. On PC, silver players on PC play at like a plat level on console. You have way more game sense than plats on freaking console, dude. It's bad.
The big thing I've heard is PC overall. It's just faster. Console moves a little slower. It's like kind of sluggish for PC players when they watch it. So that's a comment I've gotten from a lot of people, is that it's just like it looks like it's in slow motion almost, even at Master GM level.
It kind of is. I mean, like part of the reason is just because like you're playing with a controller. Oftentimes, it's not going to be as fast as with a mouse.
Yeah,
you can't really do quite as fast, and then it's locked at 60 FPS. Doesn't go any higher. Sometimes goes lower, depending on your internet connection.
Yeah, it's on top of the fact, like this is the worst thing I find about being console rather than PC, is I'm in a rank where it's borderline GM. So I'm playing with people who I'm playing with either pro players on occasion, depending on the time of day I'm queuing at, or people who play with pro players. So those pro players, they bring actual, they bring actual proper play to the ladder. They make people understand how to play the game in the correct way. And there's nothing like that on console. So
no, there's nothing like that on console at all.
Unfortunately, we have these players at the top of the ladder who are not the brightest.
They just have like the perfect mechanical skill on Tracer, and they have just enough game sense to actually like get by at a GM level. And then like after that,
the biggest thing is that they have the awareness, the reaction time, the aim, all the typical FPS stuff. They know where everyone is on the map. They know how to aim. They know how to use their abilities. But they don't understand like metagame. They don't look at the big picture. I find on console. And it could be the same on PC. Honestly, all I see on PC is top of the ladder, like very top, where all of the streamers I watch play. So,
well, that's pretty much like the popular place for it anyway. I mean, like Blizzard really like is more of a PC developer than a console developer.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like they don't know what the fuck they're doing with console. Like you get an Overwatch and you play it, and then there's like these 19 different sensitivity settings. Like compared to like something like Destiny or like Call of Duty or like any other console shooter where it's just like super simple and they just take care of all that stuff for you because they know what they're doing. It's just, and then now he's just like, there's aim assist, but now there's aim assist strength and aim assist window size. What the hell is this aim smoothing?
That stuff, if you look into it, it's actually really good.
Oh, dude, it's
the
all
detail in that is really helpful for some players. Like I know there are people who run like zero aim smoothing, and I've had to adjust. Like I've been testing aim assist window size because sometimes I've noticed I practice Widow on my alt account often, and I've noticed that sometimes I'm trying to pick targets out of a crowd, and everyone else is pulling my crosshair away from what I'm trying to shoot at. So I've been messing around with those settings to try and make sure like I can actually go aim at what I want to aim at instead of my aim assist deciding that it wants to follow this target.
I feel like when you have your aim assist window size like kind of small and ends up kind of like when you're playing a hit scan hero like Widow or Tracer or Soldier, it has a tendency to stick to your target a little bit more. That's what I'm feeling. What about you?
Well, yeah, the aim assist window, it's basically you have to be closer for the aim assist to, take effect.
So yeah.
So it's like sort of abrupt, and it's a small area where your aim assist is actually affecting. So it's like it's kind of, you go this way, you stop, and then you keep going, rather than like with a higher aim assist window with the default and stuff. You come here, okay, you start slowing down, you start slowing down, you hit your target, you're still slow, and then you're released.
Yeah, like your crosshairs are like still like a long way away from your target, and then
you can be a lot more precise, I think, if you lower that. Now the question is, can I, as a console controller user, get into that window to actually have the effectiveness I need to have? It's
You probably
it's
can.
questionable.
You probably
I'll
can
have
if
to
you
mess around
just
with it more.
right. You probably can if you have your other sensitivity settings like right at the right spot, and you're using like the right.
Yeah.
Like
At that
you're
point,
using,
it's
like,
just
dual
like
zone.
I just have to be good at aiming.
Right. You just gotta grind,
Make it
man.
work.
You just gotta practice.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect. That's
That's
how it was with drums for me. And then like with how I learned, like I didn't have a drum teacher, so I just had the MP3s on like my iPod, and then I just plugged in some headphones and then just played. And then I would like go like like this is back in the day when like MTV2 had Headbangers Ball and actually had music videos. It's pretty crazy, right? But like I would
was
go
around
watch.
for a bit of the music video days.
Mhm. Yeah, but none of us were there for like the 24-hour music video days in like the 80s when it started.
Yeah.
That was the time to watch MTV. Now it's just like Catfish and Teen Mom and all this other retarded stuff. But yeah, it'd be like
Good
I
old
would
Teen Mom.
Teen Mom. Oh God. I might go on a total belligerent rant, but it won't be a rational rant, so I'm not gonna get into that. But anyway. But yeah, it'd be like I would watch the music videos. I would kind of see how like drummers are supposed to do things, and I'd be like, okay, like this is cool. I'll try this out, and then I realized like this ain't working, or I'm playing off tempo, or like I'm using improper technique, and it'd be like me figuring out like, okay, like how do I play on tempo? Like how do I use proper technique? And it was a little bit easier for me because I could hear and see what I'm supposed to do. Just like, oh, I'm playing this wrong. I could just like stop playing and then like listen to my track and then hear where I'm supposed to do it. It's just like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Like with like Overwatch skill, it's kind of like different because you can go in and play and you could be doing something totally wrong, but it's really hard to know unless someone's like actually like watching you. Like if someone's at a high level and they're watching you play,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, you're supposed to do this instead. It's just like, okay, how am I supposed to do this? I don't know.
Yeah, things happen so fast in Overwatch. It's hard to know in the moment when you're making mistakes. You don't catch it as easily.
Oh my God, things happen quick in Overwatch.
Yeah,
That's why it's so fun to
a fast-paced
watch.
game.
That's why it's so fun to watch and why it's
Absolutely. Yep.
has so much potential as an esport. And then like on top of that, just like all the thinking and the teamwork and the coordination involved. Like that's why I love Overwatch. That's why I love watching it, and that's why I'm an advocate for Overwatch League because it's great.
For sure, yeah. I got a Excelsior shirt too.
Yeah, you do have your Excelsior
funny.
shirt. I'm kind of jealous of that Excelsior shirt. I have a Dallas Fuel jersey, and that's like the only OWL jersey I have because I was like almost $100. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I need to pay rent. Rent is important. Otherwise, I'm gonna be dumpster diving behind the Panera Bread.
Yeah. Living somewhere is good. Good to have a house.
It's good to have a house, or you could be like me and you have an apartment. It's a little bit
Yeah.
messy right now. Like that's my brother's like recording stuff. I think that's my kitchen over there. What else is behind me? That's my brother's guitar. I can't play guitar to save my life, so cannot do it. So I just stick with drums, and I can kind of sing. I'm not like the most like talented singer, but I'm getting things figured out over time. Over time, I'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Shoot. So Overwatch League 2019.
Yeah.
Are you excited? Did you watch the watch point? Like discussing the formatting and the new rosters?
No, I didn't actually.
You didn't at all?
No.
You didn't at all? Ooh, you're gonna learn
I
today,
heard some
son.
things about it. I think.
What are the some things that you've heard?
Well, I know they're shortening the season.
Mhm.
Like cutting it in half almost.
Mhm.
And
Well-
I know, I know most of the new rosters, the new roster changes existing teams have made, all that stuff. That's just a general idea, basically.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Well, I know that they're shortening it from 40 games to 28 games, but it's
28,
still
yeah.
yeah, but it's still technically going to be like the same length as it was last year. It's just going to be like less volume of games and more breaks in between stages.
Mm-hmm.
And then like with the matches, like every single team had at least 2 matches per week, which is brutal when you really think about it. And when you think about playing Overwatch at a really high level and the amount of thinking and the planning, the coordination that goes involved with that, it's bad.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why teams that were projected to do super well, like Seoul Dynasty and Dallas Fuel, just ended up kind of like, trickling down to like the middle or like the bottom of the pack in the Dallas Fuel's case for most of the season. It's just because like they're doing like 2 games like every single week. They're just like grinding super hard. It's really hard to like adapt to that. Unless you're NYXL, then it's easy. You just have Sabiobi and Jonak, and then everything else just like falls into place.
Yeah, having the games more spread out, I think will be better. It'll make for higher quality games. They'll have more focused practice, and you can kind of thin out the games like that now because of the expansion teams coming in. So there'll still be a solid amount of games per week, and a lot of obviously.
Oh yeah, you'll have like the
content
same
for the Overwatch League, but
oh yeah, for sure.
it's
You'll
just
have...
gonna.
I keep on interrupting you. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's gonna be good. Yeah, it's going to be like the same amount of games per week. Like you starts on Thursday and then it continues on to Sunday, and you always have Sunday games now, which is pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then for playoffs, so it's going to be like the top 6 teams that are just like automatically locked in, and then for the 7th and 8th place spots, all the other bottom teams, they compete in this gauntlet tournament. I don't think they're calling it a gauntlet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it's still going to be like a single elimination tournament, and then like and then I don't know how the seeding works for that, but either way, there's going to be a single elimination tournament, and then whoever gets 1st and 2nd place in that tournament gets the 7th and 8th spots and makes it to season playoffs. So if you had something like Dallas Fuel last season, where they were absolute dog shit for the whole season until stage 4 when the meta changed, then like a team like that could have a chance actually getting to the playoffs. It just makes me mad about like the 1st and 2nd season. It's just like the top teams from like Atlantic and then Pacific, and then it's like just that. But then again, that's how like the NFL, I think the NBA as well is like that too. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I didn't really watch the first season of playoffs, but I think that they know what they're doing, and. So you said they did Atlantic and Pacific last year, yeah? So
yeah, it was kind of the same thing.
Better idea to just have it be just overall standings.
Yeah, it is way better to have overall standings because I mean the top 2 teams might be 2 Pacific teams. It might be
right, exactly.
It might be Guangzhou Charge and then LA Valiant as like the top 2 teams in the entire league. I don't think Guangzhou Charge is going to do that well.
You want the finals to be the best 2 teams, so.
Oh yeah, exactly. But they kind of want to set up more like American style sports, kind of like NFL, where it's just kind of like there's 2 divisions, and they're just kind of like all those teams are kind of competing within each other, and then those 2 divisions meet up at the Super Bowl.
Right. I don't really get that, to be honest. There's probably a reason. Like I know the NFL was initially 2 separate leagues, and that's why they have the NFC and the AFC, because the AFC was originally the AFL, American Football League. It was a different league. And when they merged, they did that. But I don't really understand why they do that. I guess it might be for like scheduling and like not having to have, so much travel and stuff like that.
I feel like it also kind of builds up hype, though. So you have like these 2 different divisions, and they don't really compete against each other. It's kind of like in WWE, you have 2 different brands. You have Raw, and then you have SmackDown, and all those guys just wrestle against each other. And then every once in a while, they'll meet up. Like there's tons of hype that gets built up behind that. So I think that's part of the reason. So.
Yeah, and I think the reason, actually, now that I think about it, the reason they might be doing they might be sticking with the division format is because eventually we're gonna have those home games, right? Where there's gonna be travel. That's their plan. And
we're gonna have home games this next season
coming in. So, yeah, I think it's probably got something to do with making it easier on the team, so they don't have to travel across the entire world over week by week.
Right. Yeah, and they're actually gonna be introducing home games next season.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, Dallas Fuel's going to have some, which that's going to be super hype. I don't know if they announced anybody else is going to have that.
Yeah, not sure.
Yeah, but I know it's Dallas Fuel, and they have like a little arena. That makes me wish, I could just, because I've been to Dallas a couple times. Dallas is pretty cool. And then my brother used to be like an hour and a half drive away from Dallas because he lived in northern Louisiana. So he would like go there for like concerts all the time. Makes me wish he was still living there because I could be like, bro, dude, let's go to this thing. And he'll be like, okay, I don't play video games, but you're my bro and I love you. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
On that note, I'm pretty committed at this point. I'm gonna try and save up money to go to the finals next year
Oh, God.
and have
who
sort
does
of a
that?
meetup with all my friends because Kobe went last year,
And
among
then she
other
actually met
people.
Emongg.
Yeah, among other people from Emongg Stream.
Mm-hmm.
They all a whole group of them were kind of over there, and I kind of want to do that too, but with people that are kind of closer to me. Like we have our little kind of group of people who play on Xbox, and just some people I'd want to meet from Emongg Stream as well. And we've
Mm-hmm.
kind of sort of made an informal agreement that we're all going to try and go to the Owl Finals next year and meet up and hang out for the first time.
Oh, that'd be super dope. All the
Yeah.
Pugs crew, all the regulars and
hmm
Pugs, just let them show up.
I'm really looking forward to that. I really want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh
hope
yeah,
as
dude,
many
that's.
people as possible can make that.
Mm-hmm. I wish I could make it. Shoot, I might have to plan that out. Yeah, because it's gonna be around this. It's gonna be August of next year, right? Because it was August
Yeah.
of this year for season 1 finals.
Mm.
Seems about right. I don't know if they're
You know
gonna
better
do it
than I
in.
would.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna have it in New York though again though. Even though that was
Yeah, they'll
super
probably
dope.
change the venue.
Yeah, the Barclays Center. Like, dude, let's go.
It was really well organized. I think the finals were a big success.
They were a
It was a
big
great
success.
event to watch.
And I'm so glad it's on like ESPN and then stuff like that. It's been so long since like anything like esports has been on ESPN or anything like that. You had the Halo MLG tournaments way back in the day in like 2002, 2003. Actually, no, it was 2004, 2005. Anyway, mid 2000s, okay? Like you had it then, and I don't know if it really just like I don't know if it was really that much of a success, so they're just kind of like, yeah, screw it, go do your own thing, MLG. I can't remember if it was like that at all.
Yeah, and it's like I'm really happy that I got into esports when I did because it's becoming mainstream more and more these days.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch League is like taking a big leap, trying to make it a thing, a mainstream thing people talk about as any other sport.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously probably a bit of a stretch for the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
I think people are going to keep trying that. That's going to be a community effort in all of esports to push it on the mainstream a little more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and any esports game, it's always a community effort. Just to have like an esports league in general, that's a community effort because everybody's just gonna be
exactly.
like, "Hey, this game's competitive. We want this," and then they're just kind of like, "Okay." Like Epic Games, just like, "Okay, we're just gonna drop $100 million to just fund esports tournaments and prize money. You're welcome." Yeah. Oh, Turtle's back. I'm back. I missed some stuff. Trust me, you didn't miss anything except for the juicy content. I wonder if my webcam is super dark. It does seem kind of dark. I'm just a shadow. I'm just a shadow. You see my chair. You kind of see a silhouette of my face, and then you see the microphone.
Bieber looking ass.
Bieber looking ass.
What's up, Gochu?
That's hilarious. I didn't think you would actually look like the way you looked, because I know there was another Twitter account that had your name on it. And then he's just kind of like this, like this sophisticated, like hipster-looking dude.
Hipster-looking dude.
Yeah, that's like totally what he looked like. Yeah, because you know about that account. I've seen you post it in your Discord.
If it's the same picture I'm thinking of, I'm surprised that you would call that a hipster picture, but...
I don't know what else to describe it, but I mean... But yeah, he's got like the glasses on, he's got some like really short hair, and he's just kind of like,
Okay,
he
yeah,
looked,
the glasses. Yeah,
he's like the most feminine looking dude I've ever seen in my life. But
the most... I have to tell him that.
Oh...
We make so many jokes about how feminine he is.
Oh, is he? Are you actually friends with the guy that had that account?
Yeah, no, that's one of my real life friends that used that picture.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
The account was made by my real life friends to mess with me too.
He has another
I have to deal
identity
with
and he
that.
stole your identity. What a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Did you ask
Well,
any
the guy
juicy
in the
questions
picture
yet?
isn't the actual creator of the account, so I can't blame
Right.
him. But
Who made it then? Was it like another
other
friend of yours?
asshole.
And this other asshole, and then he just threw your
other guy
picture
in my
on?
group
That's funny,
decided
dude.
it would be funny.
Yeah. It's always great to have like friends group like that just kind of like banter and just like mess with each other. That's when things just get like fun and exciting. Like, oh god, what was the worst thing that happened to me? Fuck, I remember everybody in my friends group, like, we would just play League of Legends all the time, and I hate that game with a diehard passion. Oh my god. That game is the worst. You're locked into your computer for a half hour straight. You can't leave the game, otherwise, like, Riot will just beat you in the head with a sledgehammer and just say, no, this is a team game. And I'm just like, I have a life and terrible internet.
I've heard stories about that game, so I will never go near it.
Don't.
Goddamn, no, Turtle, no.
Carnival Fair thing. What is this?
Just this time there was a cute girl at the carnival, I guess.
There was a cute little girl at the county fair. She was selling some hogs, and I said, "Hey, let's go get some funnel cake." And go ride that little spinny thing that spins round and round, and it makes you sick.
Just like that. Just like that. That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. I guarantee you.
Sure.
That's not exact.
What happened was it was just this chick I saw at the counter, and I was like, oh, she's really cute. So my plan was I was gonna try and talk to her. I was gonna try and be a human being and socialize. And what ended up happening was I thought a good way to enter a conversation was to play her game. She was like the throw the ball at the bottles thing.
Oh yeah.
So I naturally go up and say, hey, I'm gonna buy however many two throws, something like that. And I just completely missed both throws and then walked away.
You have to buy throws? I thought it was just like you pay once and then oh my god, you Canadians.
You pay once and you get like it's like $5 for two balls and like $10 for 7 or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, that makes more sense. I thought you were saying you have to pay for each individual throw. I'm just like, that's stupid.
Yeah, no, I have bad social skills, so I found it impossible to start a real conversation like I wanted to. And I was just like, all right, have a nice day. I've embarrassed myself at this game. Now I'm gonna go die.
Oh my god, when you're a teenager and all you play is video games, and then you go try talking to someone of the opposite gender, it's awful. It always ended awkwardness.
Skills online. I choke. I choke on LAN.
What is it about that? It's just like the fact that you're seeing people's faces too, and it's just because like online you don't really have to like see them and like see like their facial expressions or body language reacting to what you're saying, so you can just say whatever the heck you want, and then when you meet someone in real life, it's just kind of like, oh.
And when you're interacting online, it's like, well, I embarrassed myself. Guess I'll just disconnect and never talk to this person again.
Right.
No one will ever know.
You have no idea who. You have no idea who it is anyway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, Poop
that's the
Feast
thing about the internet.
420. Who
a
the
lot
fuck
of dumb
are
shit
you?
happens
No one.
because there's no accountability.
Right. Dude, that's probably why like the politics in the United States are what they are today. Is because of the fucking social media. All the keyboard warriors thinking Bernie Sanders would be a great president. I made a lot of people mad. Yeah. I don't know. It's up to you. But yeah, I made a lot of people mad with that statement. And I'm not taking it back.
I have opinions, but I can't validate them. So watch out.
What do you mean you can't validate them? Or you can validate them?
My opinions are just I don't have I don't have data to back them up. I don't do research or anything. I just kind of have like feelings like, hey, this would be good or that would be good. I don't want to get into it too much. But
so you just have like particular claims or just like opinions about things, and it's just kind of
yeah, just general. I have very general opinions when it comes to politics. It's not, I don't know how to run a government, and I think anyone and any everyday voter who says they are is lying for the most part. But
right, God,
I know the basics of what I want, and I know who generally will push towards those principles.
Mm-hmm. So you're
Not
like,
much past that.
yeah, you hold specific opinions, but you don't really know like why you hold those opinions.
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, I can't explain my opinions. I can't articulate, I guess, what I
Mm-hmm.
believe and why I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't look into things. I don't go read articles on people. I don't research news. I just, I think things should be a certain way, and I think I hear people say they also want those things to be that way, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think that might be problematic if you encounter someone that disagrees with you? Like, let's just
I
say
mean, if
like you.
someone disagrees with me, I'm just gonna be like, whatever, dude.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna change your mind. I can't fucking argue with you.
Mm-hmm. But shoot, I just lost my wording. But don't you think that actually like leads to like a little bit more intellect and leads to progress when you actually have intelligent, rational conversations about political
Yeah,
issues, moral issues?
for sure, for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
how often are you gonna have a rational conversation about politics?
I
Where
do
am I
all
gonna
the
get
time.
that?
I do
You
all
do?
the time. Oh yeah. Either
Not easy to find for me, believe it or
Mhm.
not.
Oh, me, I'm either like listening to podcasts or like when I'm talking to friends and I just think like, hey, I think
Yeah,
weed
that's
should
fair.
be legalized, and then they disagree, and then it's just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna explain to you why I believe the way why I think the way I
Yeah.
do. Here's why. I don't know.
Well,
I think that's just like me and my friend group. We have a tendency
sure,
to
yeah,
kind of
no,
lean that way.
that's great. Honestly,
Hmm.
I wish more people were like that,
Hmm.
but they're not.
Right.
There's very little rational conversation
Oh my
on
God,
these
yes.
topics.
Oh my God, yes. Especially in the
Unfortunately,
United States with people in
it's
our
mostly just
generation.
shouting.
And yeah, it's just shouting matches. Like, how do you like? Like if you're gonna claim the title of progressive, like progressives usually are like in the word itself, progress. They're advocating for progress. They're usually a lot more
Mhm.
open-minded and open to discussion. How do you get to progress? How do you get to truth if you're just going to shout random things like love trumps hate, or just like it's my body? Like how do you get anywhere with that? You don't.
Yeah, well, I think there's ideas behind those. Those are conversation starters and awareness
But
raisers more so.
But the problem is that they can't really like go into further detail about those ideas. They just hold up a sign and then just shout "Love Trump's hate." Okay,
Well,
like what do
that's
you
very
mean by
general. Like
that? They
there
can't
are
explain that.
people they can they can.
I'm not like
You're
saying
talking about a different group of people, like
no, I'm not talking about like everybody who believes that. I'm trying not to paint. I'm not trying to paint like one group just like one
yeah.
specific color, or everybody one specific color. But
Now the issue with that is like I think when people are looking at the other side, they target the weakest opinions, you know?
hmm
They target people who don't have strong opinions that they have really strong reasoning for. They
hmm
target the people who just say stuff because it's like, "Oh, I just, people like me. I don't really go into stuff and do research. I don't, I don't actively try to be more involved in politics
hmm
because it's just not something, I have time for or I'm interested in it at the moment. It's just kind of a post-it note more
Wouldn't you
like, I
think
guess.
that's important though, when someone like makes a claim, but they haven't done enough research to actually back up that claim? Don't you think it's important to actually call that out and be like,
Well,
hey,
it depends. It depends if you're making a claim, right? Because
hmm
there's feelings. There's I believe you know people should be more fucking I don't know financially secure in minimum wage. I believe just general things like that.
hmm
Finding it hard to find examples, but
hmm
there's feelings. There's not everything needs to be backed up by a fact. Sometimes it's just difference of opinion,
hmm
right?
hmm
Like,
do you,
what do you value more? Do you value military or do you value, you know, welfare programs or
hmm
any number of government institutions?
hmm oh my god,
It's just opinion, right? It's not like this is factually better
hmm
because it's better for different people, different groups. It's better for you know higher income, lower income.
hmm
You know, people who live here, people who live there. It's all dependent on what you're actually trying to improve.
hmm don't you think there's some things out there that might actually, like, if they were implemented, they would actually help all persons? Do you think there's anything like that out there?
I certainly think there are. I don't think I know those things. I don't
Right.
have the answers,
Mm.
right?
Well, at least you're honest and, like, you know, like you're
Yeah,
admitting,
no,
like,
exactly.
hey, I'm not an expert, you know, compared to a lot of other people that don't know diddly squat about the things they're advocating for, but they still advocate for them, and then they act like experts.
Yeah, no, I've made a promise to myself that I'm not gonna fucking,
Mhm.
you know, I'm not gonna go in over my head on debating people if they're like, you know, I'm not gonna go run for office against someone and be like, hey,
Right.
you know, I know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I don't
Mhm.
know how to improve the world. I don't know how to, you know, whether to raise taxes or lower taxes. I don't. That's not a that's not something I've looked
Taxation
into,
is
so.
theft. Put out the hashtag right there.
Okay, Ron
this-
Swanson.
more like Ron Paul. Ron Swanson is kind of like
Sure.
the satirical extreme of libertarianism. But anyway, this conversation could get like really juicy. Ooh, we got some juicy content coming, boys. But anyway, we're going to take a break for about 10-15 minutes because I really got to use the bathroom and I need more coffee because I need to wake up. But
Sounds good.
But yeah, well, here, let me put on some soothing music so that way you guys aren't totally bored when we're gone. Shoot. I should have actually planned this out, but I'm dumb, so I didn't plan this out. There we go, perfect. No, that's an ad. I don't like ads. My YouTube Premium ran out, and I can't afford more YouTube Premium. This sucks.
YouTube Premium. Oh God.
Yeah, YouTube Premium. It's premium YouTube. No advertisements. Pay $12 a month, and then creators get some of that advertisement. I think it's like set up to where like, kind of like when you subscribe to a Twitch channel, and then like if it's a partnered streamer, and then they actually start running ads. There's like programs that are like set up to where it like counts the amount of viewers that you see per ad, and then like it pays you based on that amount. It'll actually count you on that viewership if you're actually a sub. But if you use like an ad blocker or something like that, it doesn't count you towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Yeah. This has been good so far. This is a good first hour. I like it. Cool.
For sure.
Anyway, we'll be right back.
What music is that I hear?
Something to try and make you feel at home.
All right. Our water break, our piss break is done. We've had enough. We've had enough of just sitting around just staring at each other. So now we're actually going to start talking again. It gets for like 30 like if you're just doing it for 30 seconds, then it's fine. But where you're doing it for a whole 15 minutes straight, then it gets a little bit awkward. It's awful. It's awful. So we're just going to straight up stop. And now we're actually going to start talking again. Yeah. Here, let me just full screen this. Oh, yeah. Absolutely perfect. I know it's perfect. That's why I said it. There we go. Perfect.
Again with that, huh?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have confidence in my own thinking and how I run this podcast. I have confidence in it, right? I think my webcam should be a little bit brighter now. Like before, I just looked like a straight-up silhouette, just a shadow. Who is this mysterious but really funny podcast host? This is Discount Joe Rogan. Who is this man? I immediately thought of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, which is one of the greatest songs, if not the greatest song of all time. All time. That's like up there. There's like there's 2 or 3 like songs like that are just like super good like that. There's Bohemian Rhapsody, Wings for Marie by Tool is another one. That's just, it's technically like a 2-part like really long epic song that goes on for like 17 minutes, but there's like so much emotion and like so much build up and atmosphere around it. It's just kind of like, whoa. There's another song by Tool too. I think it's Ladder Alice. Yeah, it's like the time signatures and the vocal melody are actually based on, and then the lyrical themes are based on the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh.
Yeah, it's super cool. I think I actually got Jane to play it on his stream once.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he played it once because I was like talked about it in chat, and I was just like, Jane, have you heard this song? It's based on the Fibonacci sequence. And he's just like, oh, that's cool. We'll have it play in the background while I'm talking to chat. Then he had it playing. I don't know if he really cared much for the song, but well, whatever. Whatever. You can't in life. You can't always get what you want in life, and that's one of those things. You can't make Jane a fan of Tool. You have to just introduce him and let Tool become a fan. Just let it sink in. Just kind of let it marinate like a nice meat. I was gonna say like let Tool become a fan of him, but yeah, that was really bad. That was really bad. Chat's looking cute today. Piggy, Turtle, Mayhem.
Absolutely.
All of
Always cute.
you looking thick, especially Giggs with his Bieber cut.
It's hardly a Bieber cut right now. Come on.
Mm-mm. You gotta like
It's
get
the
it
short
like
version.
right. You gotta get it fuller on the sides to be like 16-year-old Bieber.
When it grows out, that's how it grows. Unfortunately for me.
Right. And then like you're always like have this habit of just like waving it across your face.
No. Yeah, I'm big on that one.
Mm-hmm. That's how it was for a long time when I had a little bit longer hair. So yeah, it was just kind of like I had it like drooping over to like the side, like it looked like a male version of what Learn has. You know, like her like really hot, just like elaborate like haircut. It's like basically like this long undercut, super sexy. You never heard of Learn? She's a PUBG player.
Nope.
And I think she plays a lot with Shroud, and she plays a lot with Wadu. So I don't think you've ever heard of Wadu. Like if you know Shroud, you know Wadu. Yeah, he plays a lot with
Pretty much,
Wadu.
yep.
Yeah. Oh my God, Oblivion's in here. Holy crap! I haven't seen him in a day and a half. I'm just kidding. It's been much longer than that. In internet terms, it's been like a day and a half. Of an extremely long day and a half.
Turtle
It's
wants
like
stories.
Turtle
Unfortunately,
wants
I can't think
stories?
of any stories.
What stories do I have? I think I shared that last week when I was talking to Kobe. Like me getting bashed in the head with a coffee can and getting my head glued together. That was great.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of injuries and medical emergencies. I guess I have stories about that.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall any of them at the top of your head?
Oh yeah.
I broke my arm high skate when I was playing hockey. He hit me with a hockey stick right in the square of the arm.
Never had any serious hockey injuries, although I did play for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like 4. My dad double bounced me on my trampoline, and he was
Oh
big.
God.
He's lost weight since then, but he was pretty thick, and my arm bent backwards,
sexy man.
the complete wrong way, right about here.
Oh
Got
God.
a little scar somewhere.
Just
Yeah, it was
bent like a
it was
praying mantis arm. Ugh.
Yes, and
That's
that
awful.
was terrifying.
Mhm.
And then another time, it actually happened at a hockey rink. Although I wasn't playing, I was at my brother's game.
Oh dear
Where
God.
my middle finger got caught in a hockey rink door.
Ooh.
And it's a heavy door, and it was almost the tip of my finger was almost completely severed. It was hanging on by just skin, and they were able to reattach it, fortunately.
Mhm.
So I still have a fingertip right here.
That's getting censored when I edit this.
Oh,
No, I'm just
God.
kidding. I probably won't
And
do
then,
any editing of this other than like convert this to MP3, add an intro, and then like during the break actually like promote a couple things and kind of shorten up the break. Otherwise, I ain't gonna do anything with this. This is just gonna be raw audio.
And then more recently, I've had 2 seizures.
Really?
Yeah,
Like epileptic seizures or like
yeah.
something else?
I've pretty much, you can kind of outgrow epilepsy to the point where apparently your voice is doubled, by the way.
Is it doubled? That's weird.
Someone in chat, yeah. I've kind of outgrown it to the point where it's very unlikely I'll ever have another seizure in my life. But yeah, the first one I had, I was just playing video games. I was playing Tiger Woods PGA Tour. On my I was sitting on a stool, and I was like, I was like losing control of my body, and it was like slowly it crept up, and my throat got numb. That was the first thing I noticed. My throat got numb, and I thought I wasn't breathing because I couldn't actually feel myself breathing.
Mhm.
So I panicked. I thought I was like throwing up or I don't know, suffocating on something. So I ran upstairs to try and like get it out, like just puke it up or whatever. And then I was halfway up the second flight of stairs. My house is 4 levels. I was halfway up the second set to get to the bathroom, and I just completely lost control, and I like collapsed. Unfortunately, my brother was home and he caught me, so I didn't hit my head on the tile floor,
Mhm.
falling off the staircase.
Yeah,
And I
interesting.
blacked out for a bit, and I woke up and got in an ambulance, went to the hospital.
Mhm.
That was really weird because I had I had memory loss from when I woke up afterwards, and I could like they actually thought initially it was possible it was a stroke, like it
Mhm.
was either a stroke or a seizure, because afterwards for a little while like my face was kind of numb and I couldn't really talk properly.
Mhm. Was your face like drooping on like one side or what?
Yeah, apparently,
That's
yeah.
usually is a sign of the stroke. I didn't think people could get
Which
strokes at like that young of an age.
it wasn't a stroke. It was a seizure, I guess.
Mhm.
Apparently that happens with seizures sometimes too. I don't know.
I guess so. I should know these things because I work in healthcare and I'm a med tech, but
Yeah.
I don't know these things.
And then my second one was just in my sleep, and my mom noticed it was happening. I woke up and I wasn't even aware it happened. They were like, "You had a seizure." Oh,
Mhm.
just went.
Did you just like
and got
wake
some
up in
tests
the
done.
middle of the night and like all of a sudden like you just had like no control over yourself and you were just freaking out?
I wasn't even awake for the second one. I was asleep, completely asleep.
That's weird because I've walked in on people that have had seizures in the middle of the night, and it was like one person I was checking up on, and all of a sudden like their eyes were just like wide and they were just shaking and whimpering, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening? I go
Yeah,
grab my
it's-
charge nurse and I'm just like, hey, this is happening to this person, and then it actually was a legitimate seizure. We're trying to, I think it's called Valium. It's like this gel that comes in a syringe, and it's like
Oh.
inserted rectally, and it kind of like helps like subsize like seizure activity. I don't know. It's super weird. I don't know if that's what it's actually called. But yeah, it was something like that. And then like we called EMS, and then we got him on the stretcher, got him to the hospital, and then once they got him on the stretcher, that's when they started coming to, and it was like super surreal. It's just kind of like, what the heck is happening? This is weird.
Yeah, it's the first one I had. When I was blacking out, I thought I was dying. That was the most terrifying experience of my life for sure.
Oh, I bet you feel like you're dying.
Yeah, no, like
Not
'cause
that
I
I've
was blacking
experienced-
out from I was panicking and I was blacking out and I was like, okay, well there goes my life right now.
Right.
I'm
It's
gone.
slipping from my grasp. Yeah.
Vision was like slowly closing in. And
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 second. I gotta figure out if my voice is actually doubling. I don't think it's doubling. Doesn't
Neezy
sound like
says
it's doubling.
fixed.
Is it fixed? I don't know what I did.
I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea what I did, but I fixed it, I guess.
Nice, good job.
Yeah, well done on my part. Shoot, there's another friend of mine who had like a really, really bad epileptic seizure, and it's super weird because he has no history of seizures. His family has no history of seizures.
Hmm.
And he's also a karate black belt. Like, he won the exact same tournament that made Chuck Norris famous. So, I mean, like, he's really good with karate. And he actually taught karate for a long time. And then, like, he was blacking out, and he was actually, like, acting, like, really, really aggressive. And it was, like, because he didn't recognize anybody. He didn't even recognize his own son. Like, his own son was, like, and it's funny because his son is actually, like, super, like, intelligent and, like, really calm and reserved. And he was, like, this whole time his dad is just, like, freaking out, just, like, blacking out and just, like, doing all this stuff. And then, like, he's just, like, trying to, like, calm him down, and he didn't even recognize him. And then, like, firemen and, like, EMS were, like, grabbing him, and he was, like, doing, like, all of these, like, karate moves where he's just, like, trying to, like, get out of, like, someone's grip.
No.
It was super crazy.
It's gotta be a hard day on the job when you're trying to calm someone down and they know karate.
Right? It's awful.
Freaking out, don't know anybody.
I actually do want to get into... There's a gym not too far from my apartment that actually does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes. I really want to get into that. Like, Jiu-Jitsu is so interesting just because it's kind of like, like you're on the ground, like grappling, and it's kind of meant for like a smaller, weaker guy to be able to take out like a big, heavy dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I find it really interesting. And then I used to do wrestling for a couple of years. I wasn't really good at it, but I feel like I might be able to just like naturally like get into it because I mean there's a lot of congruencies between jiu-jitsu and wrestling. There's actually a bit of a rivalry between the two because you have like the wrestlers and then you have the jiu-jitsu guys, and then you have the wrestlers like totally owning the jiu-jitsu guys, and they're just kind of like, shoot, like how do I blend these two? Like you see that a lot in like MMA. Like a lot of the grappling they're doing is like heavily based on like jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and then like all the striking they're doing is heavily based on Muay Thai, which is like this form of boxing based in Thailand. It's like this form of kickboxing.
Yeah, I had a brother that kind of got into that stuff. He trained in kickboxing in BJJ for like a few years.
It's good stuff. It's taxing on your body. It's like the hardest thing you could probably do on your body.
He's in very good shape. He was always like into fitness and sports. So that's kind of like my jock brother. It's I always have I have this weird thing where me and my oldest brother are alike in terms of, being really into video games, all that nerdy shit. And then my middle two brothers are kind of the jocks, so to speak. Where
Gotcha. So you're the youngest.
Yeah, I'm the youngest, yeah.
Weird, man.
Oldest is 31.
Wow.
31, 28, 22, and me 18.
That's actually like some decent separation.
Yeah.
Like decent, like 3-4 years, or it's not like too wide of a gap, but it's not like too short of a gap. Like my brother is like 6.5 years older than me, and then like he's like, I think he turns 27 in April, and then me, I'm 21. My sister's 18. Like, it's kind of weird. So it's kind of interesting, just because like naturally you have like that big of an age gap. Like your brother just kind of like acts like the extra father figure.
Yeah, I never got that. Never really had that sense. He was very he was into the same stuff as me. Fortunately, he's never he's never grown out of video games like some people do. Which is great. It's a good thing.
I feel like he's grown out of. I think he's grown out of video games now. When we were kids, though, we would always play video games together. We had an original.
My brother actually, he's just more recently in the past few months gotten into speedrunning.
Oh, dude, I love speedrunning.
So he's been practicing Link to the Past a lot. That's his main thing right now. Link to the Past, Mega Man X, I think, are the biggest two.
I used to do a lot of Streets of Rage 2, like way back in the day on Twitch under another name. I didn't do a whole lot of Twitch streams because my computer sucked. My internet was even worse. So I just kind of like did it offline, and then like it was awesome because it felt like it was like the one game that I actually like mastered, it feels like. Because, like, I spent, like, so much time, and, like, Streets of Rage 2 isn't, like, an overtly complicated game, but, like, like, figuring out, like, how to trigger, like, certain, like, enemy spawns and stuff like that, just, like, when I go, like, when I move, like, this far ahead when I start this level, this guy will show up. I can find a way to, like, exploit that or, like, play around that and just kind of, like, play around those elements.
Yeah, there's a lot of little quirks like that in those older games. Some of them are bugs, some of them are, Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm.
But
Really, the
I've seen my
bugs
brother do a
are
lot of
Easter
stuff like
eggs.
that.
Right. Really, the bugs in and of themselves kind of are Easter eggs. And it's not
Yeah.
like, and it's not like games now where you just like release a game and then like, oh, there's a bug here. Oh, we'll release a patch. You can download this patch and that bug is fixed.
Mhm.
Like back in the day, like when you released the game, that was the absolute final version of the game.
Mhm.
Like that's how it
Yeah.
was going to be like 20, 30, 40 years from now, and it wasn't going to change. Which, if you spent like a long time like developing and perfecting your game, your games turned out great. If you rushed any of your games, like they always turned out crap, then they stayed like crap. It's not like now where you could just like rush
Yeah.
development of a game and put out like a half-assed product and then just fix it over time. It's way different back in those days.
Yeah. It's kind of it's almost unfortunate they don't have to keep it they don't have to keep the quality up as much anymore on release. They can afford to rush that stuff, and that's how you get things like you get Fallout 76. Like people were,
I
people
haven't
hate
played
that
a lot.
game.
I haven't played a lot
They
of
were
Fallout
demanding a Fallout
76.
game, so it's like, oh, we got to rush this Fallout game out, and I think they did rush it.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's not gone well for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never did get a chance to play it at all.
Yeah, I haven't either. I didn't bother after I heard about it.
Mm-hmm. I
And
hear
saw
it was
some gameplay.
Yeah, I hear it's supposed to be kind of like a like survival kind of game, like a
It's just
first-person survival game, kind of like Ark or Rust or something like that. Which I used to play a lot of Ark way back in the day. Not really back in the day. That was like a year ago when I really got into it. But it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. Was it really a year ago?
Turtle's
Crazy.
asking favorite game of all time. My
Streets of
favorite
Rage
game
2.
of all time is Overwatch.
Overwatch is actually up there, just because like the competition involved and like all the elements that are involved with it. That's why I love Overwatch.
Right. I've never been as invested in a game as I am in Overwatch, and I've never spent so much time on a game as I have in Overwatch. So,
Mm-hmm.
I have some classics that I like just for nostalgia's sake. I loved watching my brother play Final Fantasy VII. That's I've got a soft spot for it. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, both same deal. It's just watching my brother play them mostly.
Mm-hmm.
He'd let me like take the reins sometimes. He'd take a break, and I'd get to play.
That's kind of how it was.
I have fond memories of that.
Brother. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, past that, it's just Overwatch, man. I just love competing.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on sports,
Mm-hmm.
and when I found competitive gaming, it was like it meshes my competitive side with my video game side. It's just the perfect formula for me.
It's only a game.
Oh, Kazzy dropped a follow. Hey, what's going on, Kazzy? How you doing? It's been a while, my Yu-Gi-Oh buddy. But anyway, shoot, what was I going to say? Yeah, I think for me, like, I wasn't really that great at sports growing up. Like, I did baseball for a few years. I wasn't really that good at that. I did wrestling for a while. That was really, really hard. And then it didn't really help that I had mediocre coaches and absolute garbage teammates. Like, I was bullied hard when I was on the wrestling team. Like, no joke. I was bullied hard. Like, I had kids, like, every freaking day they would want to, like, spar with me. And then they would just, like, hit toss me, like, super hard. And I'd, like, slam on the ground, slam on the mat, like, back first. And, like, get the wind knocked out of me, like, every single time. It sucked. It sucked. Like, how do you get... Like, if you're naturally not good at something, how do you actually improve at that skill? Like, if you don't have people, like, mentoring you and, like, helping you out, like, along the way. And it's supposed to be a team. And when people are, like, acting like that, it doesn't really feel like a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that.
That's pretty much Overwatch solo queue in a nutshell. Just a whole bunch of flaming and bullying.
It's I'm out fragging you, so you're bad. I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to outdo my own teammates. It's a 1v11 game a lot of the time, unfortunately.
Or like outdo yourself and like your own like personal records. Like if you average like 13k healing on Mercy, like it's just about like trying to hit like 15k and not necessarily about winning the game per se. But when you do lose the game, you get flamed because then your SR drops and then you start putting it on your teammates.
People big picture don't really want to get better in Overwatch, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
They just want they want the gratification, the instant gratification. They don't want the grind. They want, they want to be the best player right now. They think they are the best player. They think they're better than the rank. They don't think about what I do differently from a diamond player. They don't think that there's any difference, and there is a difference.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've figured out those differences. I've studied that. I've watched my own gameplay. I know what I do wrong, and then I grind to fix it, and I'm actively thinking of that stuff while I play, instead of just thinking I'm gonna autopilot. I'm gonna shoot this guy and play super basic.
I feel like every Overwatch player out there should read some of Jared Tedler's stuff, like The Mental Game of Poker, and actually taking that book and applying it to Overwatch. Life would be so much better. And the game and then the game environment would be so much better. Oh my god, I learned such valuable lessons from that book.
And there's, even within the scope of Overwatch, there's, Jake writes shit like that all the time. There's Jake, there's Reinforce. They're the two like biggest, I think, writers when it comes to Overwatch that are like actual pro players.
Right.
And you
I
have
got
all
a
those
lot
kinds
of
of people,
respect.
and you have streams. There's a lot of people to learn from.
Oh yeah. Jane, you can learn,
Jane,
like, if you actually
obviously,
like sit down and like watch everything he does, like there's so much knowledge that he spits out. You just gotta like sit down and actually have the attention span to watch it all, because he spends 9 minutes talking and going in depth about like the first 10 seconds of a game. That's Jane. Just because he has a big enough brain and he knows like so much about the game and is in general like a really intelligent person and is able to do that.
It's so much more complex than people understand. The general public understands. Just today, I got people were like, "Oh, this guy watches Jane," because they were telling me, "Oh, switch out. Why are we running Diva here?" But I was looking at their comp. They're running something like, I think it was Lucio, Mercy, Dive Tanks, Sim, Ash, and that on Horizon Second Point, that is so blatantly, you dive into that. You don't run Zarya. There's much more value in dive. And having to explain that to master players, it's beyond just, oh, we're not winning fights, go Ryan Zarya. No, there's so much compositional,
there's so many factors to
compositional
consider
things.
with like picking
there's
a
different
hero.
ways to run the same composition. There's small adjustments. One hero can change the whole comp, and people just don't think in that way. They think so simply, and I hate it.
Oh yeah, even at the lower GM level, like I wouldn't know for sure.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't know for sure because I haven't really been past like mid gold, but I can tell, like it's probably like that.
Yeah, no, I don't think people. I really don't think people put in the effort to truly understand the game. It's unfortunate too, because when no one does it, there's no separation between the really knowledgeable players. There's very few of those at the top of the ladder, unfortunately, because they're all playing each other, and they don't have to improve in that if none of them are, have the knowledge.
And all the people that were cared about the game, wanted to get good at the game, and wanted to be the best at the game, they're already now in Overwatch League. They've been playing competitively since like day one, like Ryu Juhong, Jonak, all of those people. XQC was in Overwatch League for a while, and now he just kind of like runs and just does his own thing. God, you name it. Pretty much like everybody in Overwatch League. Seagull. Like if there's one player that you can consider like a master at the game, like it's probably Seagull.
Yeah, he's an OG for sure. Playing since beta and has played different roles, has played all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. And it's so weird how he just like picks up D.Va and then just becomes like a master at D.Va when like you had Mickey on the Dallas Fuel, had been playing D.Va since like day one, but hadn't really adapted to like her new what is it, like her new kit, like her updated kit, her rework. Like after
when
that,
she got less armored, Mickey kind of fell off. Less armor, less DM.
It's so weird how like everybody trashes on Mickey's D.Va play when people forget like before D.Va's rework, Mickey was the best D.Va in the entire world. There was no one better at D.Va than him.
Yeah, he had the style for that meta, and when Diva gets changed and the meta shifts, he didn't adapt, unfortunately.
Yeah, he wasn't really able to adapt.
And I think Seagull has a very adaptable and open mind where he can like instantly say, okay, this play style is going to need to happen in this meta, so I just you know I play more defensively. I play around brig comps. I play around that kind of shit that would normally it destroys dive as it used to be, but he adjusted. That's the difference between the two players.
Oh yeah, being able to adapt your strategy, I feel like, is a really important skill in Overwatch.
Yeah, no, like,
because it's the same thing in poker too. Like, you're always like adapting your strategy depending on the game that you're playing, the type of people that you're playing with, whether or not you're playing in a tournament, whether or not you're playing in a cash game, whether the stakes you're playing at. And then, like, even within a tournament, like when you're at the beginning stage of the tournament, the middling stage of the tournament, this is this strategy, and you slightly adapt the strategy depending on these factors. And then when you get to the final table, this is how you should be playing. This is how you should be analyzing your opponents. If your opponent's doing this, you do this. If you have this hand, you do this. Like, there's so many factors to consider. Like, there's so much math. Like, there's so many things you need to be thinking about. That's why I think poker players, like, if they learn how to, like, coordinate with a team, because in poker, like, you're just by yourself. And you're just kind of like, fighting on your own. It's a free-for-all. Like, if they could figure out, like, how to be a part of a team, learn good teamwork, learn good leadership, like, a lot of those, like, really top-tier guys can, like, just jump to Overwatch and then just, like, kill it. But then again, they probably wouldn't be making quite as much money. They'd still be making good money, but it probably won't be, like, quite as much as, like, a lot of these guys that are, like a lot of these World Series of Poker winners, like John Sin this past year, who won like $8.3 million at the World Series of Poker final table. But yeah, adopting your strategy, being able to adopt your strategy on the fly, depending on what they're doing, depending on the metagame, depending on the map you're playing on, depending on, like your own comp, just like, okay, this is our comp, this is their comp, this isn't working, we need to do this instead. Just doing a lot of that.
Yeah, right. And with Overwatch, it's patch by patch, and there's always sort of a butterfly effect when one hero gets changed. It can affect so many. It can almost affect the entire hero roster with one change. So every single patch, you have to think of what implications it has on the characters you're playing. And people don't do that enough.
Oh, people don't do that at all. Like, especially like once you get like underneath like diamond, and like maybe you can make a case for like high plat, because I mean, like, there's some like really, really good players that just like cannot like coordinate with other people like at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like once you get underneath that. Oh, Venom's in here. What's up, buddy? Gibbon in a suit. Should I do Gibbon next week? I was thinking about getting either Confused Amish or Dull in the Head next week. But I've been kind of lazy when it comes to scheduling guests. I need to get in the habit where I'm just like, I have like all my guests like set out like a month ahead. Like at the start of the month, like, okay, I bring this guy on, I bring this guy on, I bring this guy on. And I'm able to like, after each episode, I'm able to like advertise it. Like, hey, next week we got this guy on. He does this thing. He's really cool. You should come and watch it. But I've been kind of lazy and undisciplined. It's totally my own fault. Totally my own fault. And I'm thinking about, like, if this, like, gets, like, any bigger, maybe, like, have, like, a 15-minute segment at the end of each episode where we do, like, a sub Q&A, where, like, I make, like, a separate chat within, because you know how you can have, like, different chat rooms, like, within your Twitch channel? Just, like, have one for questions, kind of like what they do with Overwatch League for people who have the All-Access Pass. Just, like, have something like that, like, but for subs.
Yeah,
and then,
that'd
like,
be cool.
And then, like, maybe start, like, a Patreon where, like, $1 a month, you get something like a pre-show or an after-show where we go on, like, maybe, like, a half hour, an hour longer than what we did on stream, or, like, something else of the sort. I think it'd be really cool to do that.
Yeah.
He's super
I
cool
think
to do
Gibbon would be a cool guest, honestly. Gibbon's an interesting person to talk to.
I might have Gibbon on. I kind of want to do a thing where we have, like, because you know how, like, Joe Rogan, he'll have, like, MMA special episodes. Like, he'll have, like, a show, like, dedicated to, like, MMA and, like, things related to it. And then he'll have shows where it's, like, a fight companion. So, like, you're watching a fight, and then you have this on, and you can, like, have this on while you're watching it. it'd be really cool to do something like that for OWL. Like have like a group of us, and then like we're in a Discord call and we're watching OWL together, and we're just kind of like it's kind of like we have a multi-Twitch setup, so you can like you don't necessarily like have to have like the stream on your phone, and then all of a sudden you have okay. Something got messed up. Anyway, I was just looking at my phone and looking at OBS. It looks fine on Discord, but but on OBS, it's kind of like, what the heck is the camera? Oh, I know why. It's because of your curtain. It's too black. That's why your webcam started looking weird for a second.
Yeah.
Crap. Now I lost my.
So I can sleep.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, my window.
Right. But anyway, yeah, it'd be super cool to do that, where it's a group of us and we're watching OWL together, and then you can like have it on like as you're watching OWL, and you can listen to like our opinions and banter.
Yeah, that's I think Jane did that for World Cup, and it was pretty fun to watch.
It was pretty fun to watch.
Casted some fights. I remember that.
Oh, dude, Jane as a caster. With just his game knowledge, that'd be so great. But I think he's better suited as a coach. Like, I'm really glad he's in Dallas.
Yeah, he can make a hype too. Like, it's almost I think he could do either job as at an owl level. Honestly, I think he could pull off casting with a little bit of time to learn it.
I think he could probably pull off.
Good grasp.
Right. I think he could actually pull off the analyst desk too. Because how like Because how like Sideshow and Bren, they kind of just like sit at the desk. They sit at the desk and they kind of like analyze the games, but they do it in a way that's like kind of like simplified, and they do it in a really really entertaining way. Like Sideshow is a really funny guy. Bren has his moments too, but God, he'd be so great in that environment too. But I think he works really really well as a coach. Just because like he has that, and he also has like leadership qualities. He has he has a military history, so he already has some like discipline, and he already has some leadership skills. So I think he'd be really great in the coaching environment as well. So that guy's just amazing. He'd do whatever the hell he wants, and he'd be successful at it when it comes to anything Overwatch related. Yeah.
At the end of the day, he probably gets paid a lot for being a coach over.
Oh God, yes.
Over analyst or caster, so.
God, for sure. And like that, plus his Twitch income.
Of course.
Like, come on, that is just like a delicious recipe. Like that is a cake personified. I don't know. A personified cake. He might actually, like, someone will take that and will clip it and then take it out of context and like make it seem like it was a fat joke. And then it's going to blow up on Twitter and Reddit and just like, you motherfucker, how dare you say that?
You're going to get witch hunted hard now.
I'm going to get witch hunted hard. It was only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. I think he could actually pull off being a player too. Like if he wanted to be like, if he wanted to be like a main tank or like a support, like he could probably pull that off because he's a really, really good shot caller.
Yeah.
And those
I haven't seen much of his gameplay. Like, I know he's done some shot calling videos and just pure gameplay, but that would take a lot of time. He's I think he's like a low GM player.
Yeah, I think he's like 44K, 4.4K, not 44K.
Oh, really?
What the heck?
Is that high?
I think so. I don't know. He's mainly just like doing coaching and like doing analysis, so he doesn't really get like a ton of time to actually sit down and play the game. But because he knows so much about the game and stuff like that, I feel like it would be kind of like Custa, where Custa's just an amazing shot caller and an amazing leader and like knows so much about the game, even though he's not really the most mechanically skilled. Like even though all he plays really is like Mercy and Lucio, kind of like the easier heroes essentially, he's still like an important aspect of the LA Valiant just because like he's basically like a coach. Like if he wanted a coaching role, he could pull that off and do that super well.
I mean, in Custa's case too, he used to be flex support as well, so he's also got like.
Oh yeah, he could. Yeah, he could play Honor.
Actually, he was one of the first people to pick up Moira, in his hero pool. So it's.
Oh my God, I love Moira.
I think at the owl level, Jane would have to have a lot of mechanics improvement.
Oh yeah, for sure. He would get creamed. Yeah. He was gonna get creamed against like all of these other support players and just all these other players in general in the OWL. He can probably work up to that point, like if he really sat down and tried, though. To be honest.
I don't think we'll ever know.
And then back on
Seems
flex
pretty happy
support.
as a coach.
Right. And then back on the topic of flex support. Is it really just like Ana and Zen players that are labeled as flex support, or is it just like anyone that could play like a variety of heroes within that role, plus some other heroes outside that role?
So generally,
Like a true flex.
The support side, the support classifications at a pro level are sort of confusing. You have main support, which is just the Lucio Mercy player, and they're usually in charge of calling and ult tracking.
Mm-hmm.
And the flex support is Zen, Ana, Moira, typically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not so much shot callers. They just kind of focus on doing their job and generally, supporting.
It's so strange because like with DPS, like you have like clear like sub roles in like DPS and tank. Like in tank, you have main tanks and your off tanks. For your main tanks, you have Reinhardt, you have Orisa, and then you have what's the third one? Winston. And then you have like everything else as the off tanks, and then you have hit scan DPS, and then you have projectile DPS. But it's support where like the lines are like so blurry, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like is Mercy Lucio main support, or is Mercy Ana Moira main support? It's just kind of like it seems so confusing, and it feels like it gets debated like too often to the point where it's not really like clearly defined. It feels like you have more freedom.
Here's the thing: is on ladder there is just support. In my opinion, there's not.
Oh, in ladder it doesn't fucking matter at all.
You can't be like a main support main as much in ladder because, or a flex support main because it's just it's a different game. It's not. Sometimes your comp is just gonna not allow you to play the heroes you need to play. Sometimes as a support player you need to pick up Brig, which you should never need to do realistically, but it happens because ladder players.
Brig is a support. Just gotta put that out there.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It seems so weird how DPS players will play Brig. It's super weird.
Yeah. Well, it's the fact that she's just like it's such an aggro.
She's so aggressive, like literally, like unless you're like doing damage, you're not doing any healing, so you have to be really, really aggressive. You have to play with heroes that are really aggressive.
She plays sort of like an off tank, like
a healing off tank. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, right. Honestly, you could make the argument for DPS too. She kind of does it all. That's sort of the core issue with her.
That's actually why I enjoy playing Brig, just because it kind of encompasses like all those styles. Like you have like a tank kind of style, just the fact that she is able to produce armor, give her other heroes armor, and then like give herself armor, and then she has her own shield, and then like she could do like tons of damage with her flail, and then she does tons of healing with Inspire, and like you need to be doing like all those things in order to get like your Inspire up, so you're doing tons of healing, and you don't really get much healing unless you're like grouped up with your teammates. It just I don't know. It makes for like that's why she works so well in goats. I think that's why she would work well in like Deathball or like any other, and like maybe even like a dive, almost.
Yeah,
like a low mobility version of dive.
There's
if that even exists
where you run dive tanks and a Brig. I'm hesitant to call it dive because it's not the classical dive. You go into their back line, split off their supports, and just assassinate their supports. It doesn't play like that. It's sort of more about area and map control when it comes to the 3 support dive. But yeah, Brig in general, just healing is so strong in this game, and armor is so strong that
crowd control is super strong.
Yeah, CC,
it's kind of lowered a little, but
there's just you cannot outdamage healing right now. You can't as a DPS player.
Oh, especially against an Ana that knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. So you just go super tank. That's why goats. It's just the healing is so much stronger than the damage that you can do at the moment.
What do you think is probably the most important element for a good hero or a good team comp? My brother's just getting home. Like, is it mobility? Is it healing? Is it armor? Is it damage? What is it?
I think a lot of things make a hero.
My brother
really
wants
strong.
to come on and say hi. Say hi, Colton.
Hey man, how's it going? I can't hear you, but hope you're having fun.
That's my brother, chat. That's the man. when we're not
there's so much
when we're not too busy fighting each
versatility
other, we write
in
music.
the meta characters,
Yeah.
right?
Anyway, I didn't mean to
Like
interrupt
all the
you.
meta characters are very versatile. That's what makes them strong. D.Va can kind of do it all. Brig kind of does it all. You know, Anna's got a ton of utility. So it's like, you know, you have a combination. For example, D.Va, you have a combination of mobility, damage mitigation, survivability. It's so much on one character. That's just ridiculous. Like that's why D.Va, I think, is probably next in line for nerfs. Although I think they should start with Brig because
Well, Brig, they already kind of...
It's true that D.Va was meta before Goats Comp, but Brig is what created Goats Comp.
Right.
And I just don't think... I think if you nerf D.Va too much, it's a DPS-dominated game. It overdoes... You know, it swings it all the way to the other side, whereas now it's more heal and tank-based. The DPS just dominate if you nerf D.Va too much, because D.Va is something that keeps a ton of DPS in check.
Yeah. So you would say, like, the quote-unquote ultimate team comp is just kind of like something that encompasses, like, all those elements, like healing, damage, tanking, healing. Did I say mobility?
Yeah, I mean...
I thought I said mobility instead of healing. That's weird. Anyway.
It depends. Again, it's... The most versatile team comp right now, or the most consistent team comp, is obviously Goats, because the fact is, high ground doesn't matter that much against Goats.
Right.
When it's run really well, it doesn't. You just storm in and do whatever you want, kinda.
Do you think something like maybe like a double hit scan or like a double sniper or something like a pharmacy Hanzo or like a pharmacy Widow or something like that would actually be decent against Goats?
Well, the thing about those heroes is you can have like double sniper, you can have that burst. You have to be consistently getting the backline picks.
Right.
Because any frontline damage you do is going to get burst healed. There's no killing the tanks. Without a mirror comp and forcing mistakes, basically.
So you would have to pick off like if you're running like classic Goats like Lucio, Moira, Brigida,
you would have
Rein
to be
Zarya,
consistently picking off
the Moira and the
Brig
Lucio
and Lucio and Moira.
Which Brig, as long as she knows where you're at, she can just throw up her shield and just be like. Even though like heroes at a distance like do well against Brig, it takes forever to kill her.
Yeah. And I mean, combine that with the fact that, you know, you have to get your shots past a D.Va Matrix, Zarya bubbles, and hit perfect shots consistently. It's so hard to do when instead you can just counter Goats it and play the same sustained game that they're playing.
Interesting. Yeah. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just a Gold League scrub.
Yeah, I mean,
Gold League.
it's Goats is counterable if it's run poorly. It is. There's
oh my god.
There's the sniper comps. There's the spam comps that work against a bad Goats team. But high level, actual competitive play, they know how to run Goats. There is strategic knowledge there. On ladder, it's just kind of you just play Zarya. You're just DPSing, you know. You're not thinking I have to bubble my Rein when he's getting stunned or when he's trying to go aggressive. There's no that mind game and that strategy there. It's just kind of Goats in its simplest form is just run into the other team.
Stay grouped together and then just kind of like run into their team with Reinhardt at the front. God, I wish you could just tell like everybody platinum below that, like, hey, this is how you do it. Just stick together, you freaking morons.
And I think people like Jane have shown that it's so much different at the highest level. It's so cooldown based that there's no countering it realistically without a mirror comp.
Cooldown based. What do you mean by that? Like actual, like you're using cooldowns and you're just
you have
like
to
trying
time
to
your
exercise.
cooldowns.
Right.
Oh my god, Pog. 5 gift subs. There you go.
Holy shoot! I was cursed, even though I was cursing a lot. Holy crap, dude, that's insane. Dude, I have no idea who did that, but holy crap, thank you. I think I might actually know who that is, but dude, that's so sick. Dude, thank you so much, man. Wow.
Anyway,
I guess this
As I was saying.
podcast was better than I thought it was. Anyway,
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's only a game.
this is great,
Be mad.
dude. Calvin9Pogs in the chat, like right now. That's dope. That's super dope.
As I was saying, it's a cooldown based comp because
Right.
It's only a game.
That
As I
sub
was
notifications are just gonna like totally ruin my thinking.
it might be a little different with the Brig nerfs. We'll have to see how it's adapted in pro play, but
EA Sports.
It's only a game.
it used to be about
Why you have to be
not
mad?
let when your Ryan gets Brig stunned, you have bubbles on him.
Mhm.
You know, when there's anti-nades coming in, you have to be able to matrix it, and you have to cycle your matrix and your Zarya bubbles to allow your Ryan to be as aggressive as possible, and just in general your team as aggressive as possible, and also avoid anti-nades and stuff. Like it's such a every cooldown you use is important, and if you use it poorly, it can be punished at that level.
Interesting. What are the Brig changes that they're working on, or that they're proposing? Like, are they going to put Shield Bash on a higher
As I
cooldown,
mentioned, we were talking about this earlier. I think they made it you can't bash Ryan or you can't bash through shields, which was actually a big part of why Zen Goats was meta. I think.
Right. Is that change already out?
Yeah.
I forget if it's already out. Interesting.
That Doomfist nerfs.
When did that come out? Because I feel like a few days ago when I was playing on ladder, I was still able to. Oh, was it the Christmas update? Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
That's why I was still able to, play against Reinhardt still pretty well. Which, I mean, Brig will still find a way to be kind of strong in this meta, or at least I'll find a way because I enjoy playing Brig.
They also buffed her healing. I think her Inspire uptime and healing. So
oh yeah, she'll still be strong.
Well, Zen
then in
Goats
that
will be
case.
weaker. I think the other forms of Goats, Anna and Moira, will still be really strong, and probably still oppressive. We'll have to see. A lot of people are saying Diva is what enables it. I don't personally understand that. I mean, Diva kind of enables everything.
I feel like it's more Brig that actually enables Goats to be able
Well,
to
yeah, I
beat
mean,
Goats.
Brig was what triggered the Goats meta. It's
Right.
where it started with Brig's release, right? So I don't really understand. All of a sudden, it's all if Diva wasn't so oppressive, Goats would be fine.
Diva is the head of the patriarchy, feminists. It's the truth. She's this oppressor. Okay, that joke fell apart before it even was spoken. But anyway, I feel like you actually get the most value out of Brig in a Goat style comp where everybody's grouped together and everybody's being really, really aggressive like that.
It's the AoE healing combined with just the pure brawliness of the character and armor and burst heals. It's just you just run in. You survive. Overwatch players want a simple thing to blame in a complicated issue. Exactly.
Yeah, because we're morons and we don't want to use our brain. We just want to burn out and play video games. Come on.
Right. And like the thing is, if Diva gets nerfed, DPS players are gonna fucking dominate. To be honest.
Yeah, they're gonna crush.
It's gonna be a carry role. Like it hasn't been in a long time. So that's dangerous to nerf Diva too much here. I think Taimu actually said it. He was surprisingly fair on the issue that if you nerf Diva to the point of being out of meta, being useless, hit scans, DPS will just be overpowered. There's just so much, there's so much value you can get out of Widow without that in your way. You're pressured so very little. It's just they have to find the balance there.
Maybe they'll find a balance. Or it'll probably just be like, oh, everybody wants a Brig change. We're going to change this thing. And it's like everything except for the thing that needed to be changed. Like, it was the same thing with Mercy. Like, Mercy was super strong just because she had, like really, really high healing output and she had res. And res was still super overpowered even though it was on a 30-second cooldown. So, we shout, we want a Mercy fix. So Blizzard's just like, oh, okay, we're going to reduce her healing back to 50 per second, which really isn't really that bad unless you're in a huge firefight. And then we're gonna nerf Valk. We're gonna nerf everything about her kit except for Resurrect, when Resurrect was the problem.
Yeah, Mercy's got an imbalance within her own kit. It's kind of interesting. I think so much of her power is in res that nothing else about her can be powerful.
What about Valk though? Can't Valk be powerful?
Valk is pretty mediocre now. The healing isn't
Well,
significant.
now, but before.
Oh, before it was insane.
Yeah, the fact you can have like chain healing, chain damage boosts.
She doesn't die. Her team doesn't die, and you know,
Oh,
there
God, it was
was a
super
double
strong.
res early on, and the instant res. It was just that was a mess. But I think Valk, if it's not OP, it's so mediocre as an ultimate. I hate it, honestly. I just they need to change that ultimate. It's so basic and boring.
Should they go back to the OG ultimate where it's just like when everybody dies, so all of a sudden you pop that ult and then everybody like comes back to life and then you just like win a team fight? I feel like that was
I
like
don't
way
think
too
so.
overpowered.
If they were gonna do that, it needs to require LOS for one thing. Yeah, right. And that's
Right.
Lav is exactly right. A lot
What
of
is she
Mercy is both overpowered and underpowered. She's overpowered in some ways, underpowered in other ways.
God,
And
you're
I
better at
don't think
reading
they can
chat than I
realistically-
am. This is my own stream. That's sad.
I don't
I'm
think they
sorry,
can
everybody.
realistically balance that when Res exists. And when Valkyrie exists as an ultimate. Like it's so if it's not super powerful, it's just lame. Unfortunately, it's just not enjoyable and not interactive.
I don't know, with like, you know, the chain abilities, like chain healing and then chain damage boost, like as long as everybody's like grouped together, I think like that is kind of what makes Valk cool. Everything else about it is just kind of lame, but I guess like even then, like when her damage boost and her healing are low, then it's just kind of useless. It's just kind of like it exists.
I'm not a fan of having an ultimate be just enhancing a person's other abilities. I think an ultimate needs more to it than that. It needs to feel more game changing and more. I don't know. A lot of people want ultimates to be less impactful. So
no, ultimates should be that. They should be ultimates. It should be like their ultimate ability. It should be something cool and over the top, kind of like, you know, like Tracer's Pulse Bomb. That's something that's really strong and like super cool, and you could do a lot with that.
yeah, and I
Farah's
agree on that.
Barrage.
I think ultimates are a good part of the game.
Right.
Like when Jane did the experimental pugs with the super low ult charge and the just timed ult charge, that was. The game is stripped of a lot of its fun. Sometimes we're talking about balancing and we forget the game still needs to be fun when they balance it. They can't just you know, they're perfectly balanced games that no one plays because they're just not enjoyable. They're just
right, because everything's like
nothing
super
to them.
balanced, you know, there isn't really like anything exciting about it. Like
right.
I don't know. Like StarCraft is a pretty well balanced game, and it's still exciting to watch just because like all like the factors and all the thinking that's involved with StarCraft. You know, there's so many like factors that you need to be paying attention to like at all times. Like you have to have really good multitasking skills. You got to be able to have like, you know, like really good like strategic planning, you know, against your opponent. You need to know like your opponent's play style, the race, you know, what builds they use, how to counter that build. And you got to be able to like micromanage like everything. Like you got to be building this thing, you got to be working on this thing, then you also got to be doing this thing. You also got to be like scouting their base to see what they're building, and then you also got to be doing like all these other things to be able to build and counter that. Like there's so much like goes involved. Like there's so much like multitasking involved. It's just kind of like, ugh, it's crazy. But yeah, I think that's what makes like StarCraft like, you know, like fun to watch. But you have to like know that's how the game's played in order to like really watch and enjoy it. It's not like Overwatch where you just see things just like flying through the air and it's just kind of like, oh, that's kind of awesome, and then you realize, oh, there's all these different heroes, each of them have their own like unique mechanics, some synergize with some counter others, and like figuring out which heroes to synergize with who, which heroes to counter who, and then also the teamwork element, and you know, like all those other things. Like then it's just like, oh my god, like this is actually like really, really dope and really awesome to watch. I don't want to watch anything else except for this or play anything else. But Obex in here is Yugi interviewing a child. Yes. I didn't realize.
Not legally
I actually thought,
child.
Yeah, well now legally.
I'll have you know.
Right.
I'm a grown man, technically.
I'm a grown ass man. I just turned 18. Now I can smoke cigarettes. What do you got on me? I don't know. I just pulled that out of thin air. It wasn't that funny. It wasn't that funny. Shut up. I know. I just pulled that out of thin air and it just rolled off my tongue. It's just kind of like, what? How did I do this? The things that happen when you only have like 5 hours of sleep. Oh my god. But at least in Canada, you can.
Turtle. I can
Freaking
make
turtle.
rice.
Can you actually make rice though?
I'm a master chef. I'm
Mhm.
I'm amazing at rice cooking.
I actually
Last time
do
I
a
made
lot
it,
of.
it wasn't even crunchy.
It wasn't even crunchy. How long did you leave it in the pot for? Or did you use a rice
The
cooker?
right amount of time for it to be good.
You just need a rice cooker, man, and it just makes life easy. It's so easy to
Yeah.
cook rice too. You just need to make sure you have the right amount of water, the
Well,
right amount of ice, and then
yeah.
you just let it sit on simmer for 30 minutes.
The thing about that with me is there's this thing in my life where I'm fucking dumb. So so unfortunately, that's something I live with and have to build my life around.
Don't you think, like, over time, like, if you actually apply yourself, you can actually get better at that, though?
Yeah.
Or
I'm
are
not
you
gonna
just,
do
like,
that.
permanently fucking dumb? Like, you're just cursed, like, forever.
Not worth the effort. I'd rather
sorry.
just be dumb.
Yeah.
I'm more fun being dumb anyway.
My brother was yelling at me for cussing. God, I wish you could hear him, too, but this microphone, it only has, like, a specific cardioid pattern. But, yeah. Poor Gigs, he's just cursed with being dumb. There's this thing in my life where I'm yes. I'm gonna make that a Nightbot command. That's just gonna stay like permanently on my channel. Like it's gonna be immortalized, that quote. Clip
Yeah,
it, put it on Reddit, please.
That's my personality. I'm never good at anything. I can't be good at things I don't care about. To apply myself, I have to really care about it. It can't just be like, you know.
I feel like that's true for so many people, though. Like, when you care
Yeah,
about
it
something and
is.
you're passionate about something, you know, like, getting good at it and improving on it becomes easier just because this is the thing you want to do and you really want to get good at it.
Yeah, and we'll see how that works out for me because that's why I quit school.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, well, shit, none of this is remotely interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
My career path is not, you know, my dreams are not aligned with what I'm doing here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go try something else.
Mm-hmm. God, the
Let's
public
turn this
school
into a
system...
roast.
Right. Yeah, let's turn this into a roast. We could, but I'm too nice of a guy. Yeah, it's just so much of the public school system just sucks.
Yeah, I feel like
As someone who's
When I
went through
was-
the public school system and has graduated from the public school system,
Yeah.
like for my kids in the future, I'll be like, you're getting homeschooled. Because even though
yeah,
homeschool,
when I was in school,
Anyway.
I didn't feel like, you know, I was like a priority. It was just kind of like getting along with the class, like hitting deadlines. You know, it's not
Right.
we have to learn this stuff. We have to, you know, I have to show my boss that I taught all these lessons or I'm fired.
yeah, it's just kind of like, you know, like work ethic principles compared to like how
Yeah.
you get. It's supposed to like really prepare you for, you know, like jobs when you get out of school. Because I mean, like so much of like how school is structured is pretty similarly structured to how a real job is. Like in the United States, typical like work shifts are around like 8 hours. You know, like 7 to 8 hours. You know, in my line of work, it's usually like 10 to 12, right? And legally, you're required by law. When you work a full 8 hours, 1 30-minute break and 2 15-minute breaks. In school, you have 2 15-minute recesses, and then you also have like at least like a 40-minute lunch.
Hmm.
So it's structured in a lot of those ways. And then you have like deadlines, you have projects, you know, like all these things. Like these are supposed to
Right.
like help develop habits. So like when you have to do these similar things, you know, within your job, when you become an adult, you know, those things just become like automatic because you already like built up habits while you're at school.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only really good thing about the public school system. Even though working a 9 to 5 is awful and super boring, you need to do something fun with your life and be self-employed.
Hmm.
That's
my
why
whole issue with
socialism
school is just,
doesn't
like,
work. Anyway.
My whole issue with school was that the things that, you know, it didn't feel like it was the schooling was tailored to what I actually want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was like all the typical jobs like engineer, nah. All that stuff, nah. I was just like, and now I've discovered like, you know, obviously it's not a stable career. I want to stream and I want to play pro video games.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I'm working towards, but
Mhm.
I'm at least working towards what I want. I'm not aimless and just, you know, being a drone student you know.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a plan B in case that doesn't work out? Like, especially with how like Overwatch League is like now, like it's so like saturated and
sure.
it's so tough to get into.
Yeah.
And then like in the tier 2, tier 3 scene, you like more times than not like make like little to no income.
Yep. And
So
I acknowledge that it's, you know, it's not a guarantee. It's not stable by any means. It's a very, very hard. I'm not going to say it's a small chance because it's not luck. It's, you know, if I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there by working towards it and putting the time in. I'm not just going to luck out and get there. So my plan B is, you know, go work a minimum wage job, I guess, and just live like that. And I'm fine with that as long as I have this chance and I take it, because I'm not gonna fuck around and do stuff I don't want to do.
But assuming that it doesn't work out and you end up working that minimum wage job, are you guaranteed to actually like be happy in that spot? Do you feel like you're actually going to be like missing something? Just like, oh, there's this other like really cool opportunity that I could have like taken by the rings. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You know,
I'm
like,
not gonna be happy if I don't try this.
Okay, so like if you're working like a minimum wage job, like after you try it, at least you could say like, hey, I tried it and I pulled it off. You know,
Yeah.
it was
And
worth the effort.
You know, if I give it a try, I can say, okay, I was unsuccessful. What next? What is my next option? What do I want to do? And from there, like I can, you know, I have options. I'm a fortunate person. I'm middle class. I'm not poor. So
That's awesome.
I have a lot of options in my life, and I can kind of take my time, I think.
There's more brother invasion behind me. People
Nice.
wanted more brother invasion. There you go. He's older, he dresses better, and he's much more attractive than me. Except I'm way more intelligent. You guys didn't hear him. He's just kind of like, actually. But anyway, I don't know. For me, like, just like understanding that this is the only life you get. I mean, regardless of like what you believe, whether you believe, you know, like, you know, this universe, us human beings were actually created, you know, by a divine intelligence, by God, or if we just happen by random time and chance occurrences, you know, like regardless, like this is the only life you get, and like I see that and I'm just like, okay, I don't want to waste it, so I'm just like trying to find things that I'm like interested in and I'm good at. So I have music, you know, like I'm playing in 2 different bands. You know, right now I'm working in healthcare. I don't really see myself working in healthcare forever, even though it's not really like a terrible job. There's a lot of, you know, like good habits, you know, good things that I've learned from working that job. It's just, it isn't really like something that I want to work forever. You look so creepy, like walking behind me like that. You look so creepy. Now you look even creepier, just like standing like that, just kind of like smirking, just staring at my computer screen. Like, can you please go away? No. Can you not? Can you not right now? Thank you. I love you, man. Oh, we'll be done in like 20 minutes. I'm sorry, Dad. Anyway. I'm sorry, Dad. Anyway. But yeah, like, healthcare, like there's so many like important things about like teamwork and leadership and work ethic that I've learned from that environment, but I don't really like see myself working in that because like forever, just because it's not something like when I wake up like in the morning, like I'm not like super pumped up to do this per se. Even though it's not a terrible job, it's not something that I love so much that I want to wake up and do this every day.
Right.
Music is something like that where, you know, I want to wake up and I want to like do that. You know, I want to create, you know, I want to, you know, put some sound together and, you know, like let out some emotion that I've had built up and like take care of it in a healthy way. I'm trying to be serious and you're just being funny. This ain't right. This ain't right. Can you not? Okay, if this is going to happen, chat, you have to clip this and we have to make this viral, okay? Here, let me adjust my head. All right, Colton, you need to move a little bit to my right. Need to get it so we're like,
what is the idea here?
Experience tranquility. I'm trying to set this up so where I kind of look
God.
like Zenyatta, because you have the big light, and then you have him with his hands out. All right, come to my left. Come to my left.
See you later, Turtle. Thanks.
All right, come back, come back. Okay, now squat down a little bit.
Also, I saw you call me short, Turtle. I'm not short. I'm average.
I don't know. Experience tranquility? Is it something like this? I don't know.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
This is awful. What are we doing? That's pretty bad. Anyway, I'm gonna pretend like that didn't happen at all, even though this VOD's gonna get saved and we're gonna convert this to MP3. It's going to be immortalized. It's going to be put in cement. It's gonna stay there forever. Yeah, it's gonna be solidified. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, like I learned a lot of habits from healthcare, but I don't want to do that forever. Like music, like I wake up in the morning, I want to write music. Like when I feel inspired by something, like a specific story that I've read, or I have like, a particular message that I want to communicate, some emotions that I put up, and I want to express that in like a poetic, healthy way, kind of express those emotions into, poetry and sound. That way I feel better, and then potentially like someone else can, like, who's going through, similar things, could feel better as well. That's kind of why I do music, it's just kind of like an outlet to be creative and to share my opinions on things. And then radio, like this kind of work also is something that I'm really enjoying. And I guess other people are really enjoying it and being blessed by it as well. I guess Turtle, I saw her just spamming all caps. Great show, Yugi. And I was just like, sweet. People love me. But yeah, it would be better to actually like do this where it's like independent and I don't really have like a network. Jesus. Oh my God. Why do you do this?
How you doing, chat? You having a good time? I'm having a good time.
Anyway, never mind. Yes, sir. I will after I'm done. Anyway, we're about ready to wrap this up, so not too long. Yeah, but after I'm done here, I won't have to have that light on, so we're good.
I'm giggly. Am I?
Okay. Anyway. Anyway, now that rude interruption was over, I won't be able to edit this part too, so that's just there. We'll just have to laugh and just embrace it. But yeah, with music, like, to kind of like, release some emotions, radio to kind of like do that, but just kind of like, I feel like there's just something about like having a conversation with someone and then just kind of like capturing that conversation and then just like releasing that to the public. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about that.
No,
there's so many.
I get it.
The thing is there's so many things I'm interested in. There's so many things that I like to do, but I only have like so much time to do it all.
See, I'm the opposite on that one.
Right.
I have very few things I'm interested in, so that's kind of why my philosophy is I have a very specific vision of what I want my life to be, and I'm trying to take the steps towards that.
Well, that's good.
And, prioritize that over, having, a steady, normal office job or anything like that.
And then a steady normal office job isn't really exciting. Right.
Is knowing these steps and following them as best as I can.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, you're totally right. And I think you're on a good path. My only advice that I would give to you is just kind of like, okay, like, if this doesn't work out, or what are you going to do until you actually reach that goal? Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. Like, for me, if I were in your shoes, like, I wouldn't want to work like a minimum wage job for, like the 50, 60 years, plus that I'll be alive on this earth, adding to the time that I've been on here now. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of why, I have like these other interests, like, doing radio, doing music, and then also winemaking. There's a vineyard not too far from where I live. It's kind of like a small little place because, I mean, it's Montana. We pretty much have like Canadian style weather, like British Columbia style weather. It's super hard to grow grapes here.
Hell, you're right above us, or right below us.
I'm pretty sure I'm southwest from Saskatchewan. Is it Saskatchewan or Saskatchewan?
I think technically Saskatchewan. I don't know. People just say it however.
I don't know. I'm American, so I just say Saskatchewan.
But I'm pretty sure I've been to Montana. I've traveled there, and I think you just crossed the border right into Montana from Saskatchewan.
Actually, I think it's Alberta that's directly closest here. I used to live in North Dakota.
It might be on the
and then,
middle.
like,
Hold on, let me. I'm gonna look at a map now.
Yeah, look
You
it
got
up.
me curious.
Because I know I used to previously live in North Dakota, and then North Dakota, like central North Dakota, is like directly below the Providence line of Saskatchewan, and then Alberta, and then here I think it's like Saskatchewan, and then maybe British Columbia. British Columbia is more like northwest, I think.
British Columbia's west coast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Montana right there. So yeah, Montana's kind of across most of Saskatchewan and most of Alberta.
That's really interesting.
It's right across the middle.
It's weird because I thought that's how North Dakota was. Hold on, I need to look at the
North
same map you're
Dakota
looking
is
at.
only a little bit. It's like a third touching Saskatchewan.
That's
It's
so
touching
weird.
a third of Saskatchewan.
That's so weird. How do I not know my Canadian geography? Come on. Did I pay attention at all when I was in school? Evidently not. That's a sign that the public school system needs to change. Just homeschool your kids, people. Just teach them that the earth is flat. That, yeah. And all that other stuff.
It's a flawless plan.
Right? It's a flawless plan. Just teach everybody that the earth is flat. I'm just kidding. Actually, in my own experience, like, a lot of all the friends that I have that are homeschooled, they're all, like, super smart. Like, they're 16, and they're, like, going to college. It's just kind of like, what? Thanks for making me feel like a total moron. But, anyway,
No,
Piggy's going to sleep. Later, Piggy. Thanks for coming by.
I think
Anyway.
also the homeschooled people I've met, they've had, not having the normal school environment. I knew one person I played baseball with. They carried themselves and talked like an adult, and I honestly that's a quality I kind of admire. As weird as it is, like I don't want to be boring or anything. Like I don't want to lose my childhood by any means, but I just I think the carrying yourself like that is just it's good for your life overall. It's good for relationships. It's all around.
Well, public school is really, really good for developing, those social skills, being able to, like, have friends, experience, like, conflict,
Right.
people that don't really that don't really care much for you, and how to mitigate that, dealing with stuff like that. I mean, there's ways to kind of, like, give your kids a social life if you chose to homeschool them. I got people that I know, like, they would go hang out at, like, kids co-ops, and make friends there and kind of, like, do, those social things there. They probably, I don't know if they'll be, I don't know. It's weird. It just kind of depends on, like, what you're involved in, and then, like, trying to get your kids to be involved in something like sports or,
Right,
church
exactly.
or something like that.
Yeah, no, and the one I knew through sports, and he was, his best friends were on our sports teams, and we hung out a lot.
Right.
So I think there are other ways to socialize.
Oh yeah,
In
for
fact,
sure. For sure.
Maybe long term, it's I guess maybe better to have a more diverse crowd around you, but it's sort of like-minded people, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That makes any sense? You find people in your same interests that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when you're just, like, surrounded by people, like 7 to 8 hours a day, I feel like if there's, like, benefits to public school, that's definitely one of them, if not the only one. But yeah, it's just, like, being around, people, like, and just, like, knowing how to interact with other members of your species, like, you learn that so much in public school. You learn how to have friends, you learn how to have girlfriends and boyfriends, and how to deal with that, because as you're going through public school, you start off as a little kid, and then you go through puberty, and then you start growing hair in places you never thought you would grow hair before, and then you get, like, all of these, like, feelings inside of you. It's just like, you know, that Catherine girl, you know, that I just like hated, and I would always shove sand in her mouth when we were kids. She's kind of
Catherine,
cute
huh?
now, or whatever. I don't know. It was
that a
Jade and
specific?
Opal. I don't know. There's only like one girl I've ever met that was named Opal, but
Oh my god.
yeah. Or just like little.
That is
Look
a
at
name.
little Miss Susan. There's just something about her that just like makes me want to talk to her. And just a few years ago, we thought girls were disgusting. It doesn't make any sense. What is happening? Yeah. And then like, you know, you kind of like grow up and mature with those, you know, people. It's even better in like a smaller school. Like in North Dakota, I was in a really small school, and living here in Montana, I was at a bigger school. It's small compared to, you know, like Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, like any of these bigger like urban places. But I mean, like, still like even then. But yeah, it's just kind of like that small environment and just like growing up with those people and like developing like who you are as a person, you know, in that environment. If there's one benefit to public school, it's definitely that, you know, learning that. But when it comes to like actually being educated and learning how the world works, and, you know, this is how you should be doing this, because there's so many like important life skills that don't really get taught in public school, especially especially here in the United States. But
No, that's something I've heard a lot of people talk about. Like there's a lot of memes about it. It's like you go through school, but they don't teach you things like how to be an adult, like how to, you know, how to do your taxes specifically, how to.
yeah, it's just like, what the heck is a
How to
W-2?
budget.
What do I do with this? Yeah, just like, how do I work it all with money? You know, like, how do I cook, right? Just like, oh, like, you can't just, like, eat raw meat out the shelf. Because, like, at some point in our human development, we kind of, like, figured some of these things out. They're like, oh, you can't just, like, kill an animal and then just take the meat and eat it. You're going to get sick. So you need to cook it. Just like, oh, we need to realize we need to cook this for this amount of time. We need to cook this kind of meat for this amount of time. And then also, like, with hunting as well, you can't just, like, tackle the tiger, you know? Once that doesn't work, you grab a stick. And then after that doesn't work, you grab 2 sticks. And then after that, you grab a team of people and figure out, you know, how to kill the tiger that way, you know? It's just kind of like those things. But yeah, you don't really learn a lot of that in public school. There's teachers who recognize that, and they try to teach that. Like, I took a personal finance course that was based off of, like, a lot of Dave Ramsey's talks, and it was really great and edifying. And I totally regret, like, having all that knowledge, adhering to that knowledge, and then just giving up adhering to that knowledge because I was super depressed and I just wanted to spend money and not really care while I was young. That was a huge mistake. Yeah, I'm still paying for that mistake even today. But yeah, I feel like there's some teachers who recognize that and try to mitigate that. That's why home economics and personal finances are like 2 of the most important classes you could ever take in any high school curriculum at all.
Yeah, it's something we actually had throughout my schooling and in just in my school system in general. We have career ed, which is really nice. It's kind of a
Oh, that's cool.
kind of a bright spot. You get you know you figure out how to make resumes,
Mhm.
basically.
You figure out like job interviews
you
and,
get
like
work
how to
placements
nail a
and
job
stuff.
interview. That's awesome. We did a little
Yeah.
bit of that, like my senior English class, but it was only for like it was like a tiny like 6-week unit, and there's only like so much you can learn within those 6 weeks about, you know, like filling out a resume, how to make your resume pop, and then like how to like impress a job interviewer. See here, what did Lav just say? Cooking meat allows us to eat it
Some
easier with
nerdy
less
shit.
chewing, with led to an increase in nutrients our ancestors consumed, which helped with brain development and made us not have to as strong of a jaw as other primates. Ooh, the things that happen when the things that the human brain is just capable of is pretty incredible. Like the fact that we can figure that out and figure so many other things out, like figure out language. You know, when you grow up, like speaking a language, you know, like learning that language as a child and then like trying to learn another one. Like the fact that the human brain is able to figure those things out and figure out really complicated problems is just incredible.
Mhm.
Why I believe in God. But anyway. Brain is mush from finals. Please excuse the info dump. That is why this podcast exists, to kind of get you out of that slump. Yeah. Good grief. We've already done 2.5 hours.
Yep,
That's crazy. This was a good conversation.
for sure, man.
This is a really good episode. You're coming back on the podcast eventually, if not for OW
All right, dude, sounds
related
good.
things, for something
there.
else. I have no idea who I'm going to have on next week. It might be my friend Confused Amish. I don't know if any of you guys in chat have ever heard of him, but he's an Overwatch streamer. He's a McCree main. He smokes a lot of weed, so I think it'd be awesome to have like a conversation about marijuana with him. You know, whether or not we should legalize it. Yeah.
Does he smoke big doinks in Amish?
Oh my God, he does dabs like crazy. You know, I don't think he hits bongs or like smokes blunts, but I know he does like a lot of dabs, and I think he has like a vape pen where he's able to have some like THC oil and CBD oil in it. You could buy CBD oil and like have it as like an e-juice. That's awesome. Yeah. And I do take some CBDs as well. Like before I started this, I took a hemp bomb, and I feel fantastic. It's like all the health benefits from cannabis without THC. And I'm just like, yes, there we go.
Yeah, well, I'm going to learn all about that next year.
Next year? You mean next week? What do you mean by next year?
Next year, when I turn 19.
Is that the legal age for recreational marijuana in Canada?
Weed and alcohol, same age.
I thought it was 18, or at least I thought that was the drinking age.
Alberta and Quebec.
Oh, just not in Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan and British Columbia? Else, I think.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I could go to Alberta and get super fucked up right now.
Right. But you won't because you have big brain. It's all that Overwatch that you were playing, man.
Also, no money and no driver's license and no money for gas and no money.
So I'll take this opportunity to say, if you have not subscribed, donated, given bits, or watched ads on KMGiggles' channel, you should do that like right now. Do it. Give him all of your money and make him rich right now.
I'm not going to tell you not to do that.
This dude does not deserve to work a 9 to 5. He should deserve to play video games all day, every day, and you guys are going to make it happen, okay?
You're too kind.
Yeah, we're going to start a Patreon. We're going to start a GoFundMe. We're going to raise 10 grand so you can just live off of a year off of that 10 grand. I don't know if you can. That's really possible in Canada. In the United States, it really depends on, like, you know, your apartment, you know, the area you live in and stuff like that. You know, whether your state has, like, income tax or, you know, like state income tax or anything like that. It's really bad. But anyway, yeah, make it happen. Make this guy rich. So he never has to learn any life skills, like how to cook rice.
Hell yeah.
This guy does not need to learn how to cook rice.
Rice cooking person.
I'll teach you how to cook rice, man. I eat rice all the time.
I know how to cook rice. I just it took some time to learn.
It's funny because at my job, like at my facility, we don't have a day cook, so all the night shift people, they'll actually cook the meals during the night for the next day. It's super cool because I learned so much about cooking, and I cook things that I've never even cooked before. Like I made an apple pie the other day, and it was a really good apple pie. Phenomenal apple pie.
You can teach me sometime, Lav. Teach me to bake.
Me and Lav will teach you to bake. I'll teach you my apple pie recipe. It's super good. Feeds like 25, 30 people. But
wow.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a good pie. It's technically 2 pie. Oh yeah. Or 1 you. Come on, you're not that big. Then again, I don't know how much you eat.
You'd be surprised at my appetite.
I probably would be.
I'm a teenager, right?
Right.
I'm growing.
Oh my god. My mind is evil. Oh my god, Mayhem. You need Jesus, man. Yeah, but anyway, we're going to call it good, and everybody needs some sleep. We've already gone 2.5 hours. I feel like that's enough talking. So yeah. Anyway, if you're interested in more of KMGiggles' content, you could go to his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/KMGiggles, KMGiggles. I hope that's spelled that right. He also has a Twitter at GigglesOW, capital GIGGLES _ capital O capital W. He makes awesome content. He's a really good off-tank. You know, he's a really knowledgeable, entertaining guy. Check out some of his stuff. If you're in the Missoula, Montana area, December 31st, my band Sephirio will be playing New Year's Evil at the Dark Horse Bar. I forget where the address is, and I forget what time we're playing, but that's where we're playing. It's going to be streamed live on my Twitch if you can't make it, so now there's no excuse. Absolutely no excuse. And then be on the lookout for next year for lots of new music on my end. Be on the lookout for MP3 versions of this podcast. Be on the lookout next week for another one. I was hoping I would already have this figured out by today, but you'll have to just pay attention to my Twitter and my Discord. There's Nightbot commands for all of that. What else? If you want to financially contribute to the stream, obviously there's subs. There's a lot of you have given bits. There's like a huge gifted sub train. Thanks again, Garrett Rose. I think I might actually know who you are, but still, thank you again. That's awesome. That helps me out a lot. If you want to help out as well, and you can, I would appreciate that. I'm going to eventually start a Patreon. $1 a month. You get some bonus content. Yeah, I don't know when that'll be up. I don't know when the MP3s will be out. I'm not really organized right now. Eventually, I'll get it figured out. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming on. It was awesome. This is a really good conversation. This is great. Actually, wait, before we go, who should we host? Is there anybody to host? Is there anybody that we could bless today? Let's see here. Fran, I know, is streaming. Let's see here. Who has like... Oh, dude. My buddy Haya is streaming Overwatch right now, and he only has 2 people watching. We need to do this.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
We need to do this. He's actually one of my mods, too. So
yeah, I saw that.
This totally works out. Yeah. We need to bless this man. So I'm going to type his link into chat. Am I even going to spell this right? I really hope I spelled this right. There we go. Heck yeah, there we go. That's his Twitch channel, chat. Go over to him. Say hi. We're going to do an actual raid. That is the wrong channel. That is the wrong one. That is awkward. Here, let's do the right one. Actually, I sent you guys the wrong link, too. I missed a name. Scuffed Raid.
It's 3 A's.
It is 3 A's. I saw that. Okay, now there's 3 A's in that link. Okay, perfect. Now we could try it. Perfect. There we go. All right. Hit the raid now button. Do it. Otherwise, I will be upset. I will come to your house and personally wrestle you to the ground and put you in a rear naked choke while actually being naked. You do not want that to happen. It'll be scary. Actually, just kidding. It will just be my rear. I'll be doing rear naked choke while being rear naked. I'll get like one of those onesies that kind of have a flap in the back. Like just in case you wake up in the middle of the night, you need to drop a deuce. It'll be like that.
Yeah,
I'll just like take that. Yeah, I'll just take the flap and just like cut it off. And then I'll just come and put you in a rear naked choke. That's what will happen. Come on, there's 10 of you and there's only 5 that are raiding. Come on, that's so lame.
I don't know how to do that.
If you go to my chat, there should be like on top, there should be like right. If you go into my chat, there should be an option like right above where you can like join the raid.
All I can do is leave.
All you can do is leave? Okay, so you're
the only
automatically
option is
in.
leave.
Come on, man. Okay. Well, anyway. Yeah, I guess there's 5 people where I'm going to be coming to their house and putting them in a rear naked choke with my rear exposed. It's going to happen. Be prepared. Be prepared. Better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout on telling me why. You're going to get messed up and there's nothing you could do about it. So just embrace it. All right. Anyway, guys, have a good night. This is great. See you next week.
See you later.
Woo!
All right. Good talk.
Good talk.
See you later, man.
Have a good night.
Sick as fuck.
Throwing shots at Travis now?
Dude, what is going on? Dude.
Yo, ass, dude. It's taken.
Dude, we'll leave.
This Korean kid.
We can leave. You wanna leave? Screw this. We ain't gonna take this shit. Alright? You gotta play your main.
You're right.
Yo, dude, what's up? How did the stream go? I popped in for like a quick minute just to like kind of listen and see what you guys are talking about. It's kind of hard because I was there for like a minute. But it seemed like it was a really good topic. So like you running like podcasts and shit now? Dude, it was awesome. I bet, bro. Watch the VOD. I will definitely take a look at it. Definitely. It piqued my interest for like for the minute I was in. But you look way different, Shaven. Yeah. Yo, the volcano. Trent, what's up, man? How you doing, brother?